sun's upside. 'Cause everybody's posting and posting. Snapshot of a wish, but the story's told. I can't stand all the detail, it's a fail. Baby, let's go home. Because there's so many posters to follow, they hope we're tuning in to how we're missing out. Getting hit, people making a machine gun. It's time to shut 'em down.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MASL In the Box Live with your hosts, Adam, Matt, and Gio.
Everybody get.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, all.
Welcome to MASL In the Box Live. On a
Well,
very,
before
very
before
special-
we start, I want to give a special shout out to my girl, my banana, who's probably watching. She might be watching. I don't know. She said she was. So
Hi, Hannah.
Hi, Hannah.
speaking of Hannah, real quick, we're not going to do our picks tonight on the show. We are actually going to do a special episode of Hannah's picks, the three of us with Hannah, Friday night, 7:30 ish Eastern.
Ish.
Right?
Eastern. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
you
for-
signed up for it. You signed up for
Hannah's
it.
picks is on Eastern time.
All right. All right. So
Uh,
today, February 22nd, 2021 marks the 1-year anniversary of the creation of the MASL In the Box Facebook group that Matt and I had been talking about for a while. And I don't even remember what happened, but we said, okay, this is it. Matt was strategically located in a Domino's parking lot and said, okay, let's do it right now. The coordinates are right. It was like Indiana Jones holding up the staff. And
Yeah,
the light shined down on the Domino's pizza, and that was the time that we
yeah.
knew. we had to
At that point, we knew.
that point we knew. Good evening, Brad. Good evening, San Diego Steve.
San Diego Steve, how's it going? Brad, how's
Yeah.
it going?
So to kind of
Cheers to
celebrate,
1 year, right?
to kind of celebrate.
Wait, 1 year
the-
for who?
well,
for
it's
you
a 1
guys.
year for the group
For technically in the box, but
in the box.
Oh. So are
Gio
we
didn't
gonna have?
join-
So are we gonna have a 1 year anniversary for when the first time Gio was on the show?
if we remember.
No, the celebration is for the 1 year in the box, the inception of it all.
Oh, okay.
So Gio joined in July, and we started this in February, but it was the COVID year, so that was like 6 years all in a.
Well, here, okay. So if we want to get technical, I mean, you came about in April. I mean, yeah, you co-founded it and everything, but video wise, you were in
Video-wise.
April. Gio's in July. I was. February,
Yep.
But
So
I think collectively, we'll call it 1 year collectively.
1 year.
Yeah,
collective.
thank you.
I have a special video to play. The first ever video shared to In the Box on February 22nd, 2020 from Matt Sterling, fellow Utica fan. And here we go.
The crowd is really excited tonight.
They know what's at stake, Dick.
Yep, getting their home team into the NBA.
Now I'm talking about free corn dogs.
Oh, that's right. It's free corn dog night. Corn dogs, Jackie. Corn dogs for all these people. The Tropics win, and this crowd is going crazy. Crazy for corn dogs. And Jackie Moon gives us a victory lap. Right out the door.
All right, that's just awesome.
Oh man, but better.
And
way.
how much we've grown since that day.
What is your definition of growing?
I don't know. I just
Certainly,
I don't know if this is going
Converted to more
upward or
powerful.
we're like if it's like that. Yeah, it's I don't know. But I just want to say thank you to everyone that's been involved. I mean, Adam for starting it when I couldn't. Gio for coming on with all of his knowledge, and all of you guys for watching and supporting. What are we at? Over 500 members?
As of exactly this moment in time, we're at 565 members.
At the sound of the beep, we are at 560. And then
And-
over 100 subscribers on YouTube, which
Right.
Yeah.
that started maybe a couple months ago. So thank
I
you
was gonna
guys.
say, like, we have some pretty good numbers on Instagram. We have more than 100 followers. Twitter, more than 100 followers. Facebook, we're at 200. The official page.
The page that shares the group that shares the Twitter pages that shares
No,
the
the
Instagram YouTube pages.
the page for
I
neutral.
need a diagram for whatever the heck.
We need a flow chart.
Yeah, the hip bone's connected to the knee bone, and then Instagram is connected to this, and it's connected to.
It
I
makes
don't,
my life easier. Just let me have it.
You are all over it.
it's all yours. I can't touch it. So
I can't even be an admin of it because you never send me an invite.
I've sent you.
wow,
How many times have I sent him that?
wow,
For
1 year
some reason-
anniversary, and now we're airing grievances. Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. Speaking of grievances, stay tuned.
Oh,
There will
no.
be plenty of those. Do we want to start with the? Well, we have to start with the good news.
What's the good news?
Well, the jersey auction.
So the jersey auction. So the jersey auction has been negotiated in the background with a high bid of, and guys, I'm going to say your names. And if you don't want me to say your names, jump back in time and blurt it out.
Well, I know my person said it was fine.
Yes. Yeah, both people did. Jeff Locker, co-owner to Shelley of St. Louis Ambush, has the high bid of $355 right now. Doug Wolf has said that he will donate $100 to the Chino Fund. And they were battling all afternoon, and they came to an agreement. Unfortunately, we didn't get a cage match like I was kind of hoping for. But Jeff said he would have to have Duduka as his ringer, and I just don't want to hurt that guy's Achilles anymore. So we're gonna let him
Yeah.
heal. We're gonna let him come back. So that's what's going on. So in the spirit of that, I would say that the next bid would have to be $460 if somebody wants this in the next 20 minutes. Otherwise, we're gonna give it to Jeff with Doug making the donation.
Yeah.
I think
Top of, I mean, and then our donation as well to Brian Sales.
and yes, and we're matching that. So we're matching the 455 then, which doesn't work out. Somebody will have to pay an extra 33.333 cents somewhere.
Someone just give
Picker
Five.
wheel.
so we could just
Picker-
get it evenly,
Let's just
please.
get the picker wheel.
Oh
No,
good.
now he's gonna do it.
no.
Okay. We have to have the picker. Well, no, the
So-
picker wheel's Friday. That's right.
Here's what we'll do. We'll each donate 150 to the Brian Sales Fund.
Fine.
And
Yeah, that
even
makes
450 and the 5 will just, whatever.
That makes sense.
That makes sense. I think that'll work. That was around what I was going to do anyway. So that makes me feel good that we're able to do that.
Mhm.
Thank you to those who bid. Thank you to those who were putting up with all my stupid posts on that. And my semi temper tantrum last week. When I think next time we do something like this, we'll do it more of like a raffle where people can buy tickets in, and then we'll just raffle it off to one winner. And we can do it in I don't know if we'll be able to do picker wheel because we can let people do multiple.
We have everything has to be a picker wheel.
We got to figure out how to do the picker wheel because that's now
That's gonna
part
be
of
a
the show.
lot. Jesus.
But I'm thinking, like if we do a $5 raffle ticket, let people buy as many as they want. That's just what every $5 gets a different entry, and then we'll have to, maybe we can have we'll figure out something for that. I don't know what
All the
next
names
one's
in a
gonna be.
hat or something, have Hannah pick it out. Or Henry.
Yeah,
or-
well, we'll have to figure out something.
yeah,
I
we'll figure
don't,
something.
don't have any items. We did talk to Shelly from St. Louis, who's going to donate a $25 gift certificate at some point. We obviously won't raffle that off or ask for any money for that. That'll just be a maybe we'll come up with some kind of trivia question in the chat for a live show or something like that.
Or 150 subscribers.
Or number of subscribers on our various platforms. If you can be the 150th subscriber on all 4 platforms.
Oh my God.
Unsub, resub, unsub,
Right,
resub.
right.
That's all that's gonna happen.
149, 148, 140. So when we start the shows, for those of you wondering what the whole big deal in the beginning is, I realized that when we go live on Facebook, it's kind of the same thing. We start talking as soon as we're live after we do the are we live thing that we used to do. Nobody really gets to watch the first couple minutes. So what I'm doing now is I'm starting at 8:30 and I'm playing the starting soon thing, and we'll maybe make little adjustments to that and make it look cool here and there. And I'm waiting until at least 5 minutes in, or we get 10 people on. And as I was watching the numbers, it was like, 5, 6, 7, 4, 5, 6, 4. Like, come on, guys, you're killing me. So at some point here, we're going to go with a more professional looking thing than Zoom in the lower right hand corner.
I don't know about professional.
More fancy. How's fancy?
I'm not dressing up for this.
I'm not
This
wearing a
is-
dress. I'm not.
Well, neither am I. You'd be lucky if I'm wearing pants.
Okay,
I'm
I'm
wearing pants.
I'm good.
Yep.
So where do we want
This
to start?
weekend.
So
Let's start with this weekend.
yeah, Gio and I kind of talked. So tonight, I want to go through what I would do and what I wouldn't do if I were commissioner. And I spent entirely too much time in this over the weekend and at nights when I couldn't sleep, going through this. So I almost feel like I need to have slides and like a presentation and like Vanna White flipping the board over and stuff like that. What I think we'll do is I'll take tonight. You guys can fight over next week, and then the third week, the third person can do it. And we'll just each
I can
take
go
a
last.
week of
That's
talking
fine.
about.
I'll go last.
Wait, so what am I doing?
So by next
Next
week,
weekend, you're
come
going to
up
be the
with
commissioner.
what you would
Ooh.
what you would do as commissioner,
So
Oh.
you'll have your ideas and stuff.
and you'll have your own time. I mean, obviously, we can all talk and
Can I use my whiteboard?
You can use
absolutely.
anything you want. I'm
Absolutely.
going to wear a tie.
I'm
I'm
not.
not wearing a tie.
Come on.
You'd be lucky if I wear pants.
Never mind. Just ruin my day. Don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't. It's going to throw me into a panic.
All right.
Oh my God.
As formal as
But yeah.
Sorry.
So this weekend, what was it called? The something series?
I don't
It's
know.
called the Sunshine Series.
Sunshine.
Wait, are we talking about those games in particular? Because I was thinking we could do like out of this weekend, who was the winner and who was the loser?
Well, we could do that at the end.
Okay. All right.
We could do that at the end.
Yeah, it was called the Sunshine series.
We could
Sunshine
do a
Series.
quick recap of the games.
We had a good conversation in the box about the Sunshine Series. Alec brought up the fact that he felt it could have been advertised a little bit differently better. And then Brian Budzinski said, well, what are your ideas? And we gave him a bunch of ideas. So I think that was good. That was
Very
positive.
constructive. Yeah.
All right.
I think-
So what do we start with? Thursday? No.
Start with
Every time I look at the screen, it reverts back to the stupid thing. Thursday.
Yeah.
Afternoon game, Stars against the Tropics.
yes.
This was,
Good game.
Really good game.
it was one of the better ones that I've seen. Maybe the best one I've seen so far. Maybe not. Maybe not.
No, I think if you look later on in the week, I think that Ontario Florida game,
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty good game as
That
well.
was a good one. Yeah. Good game.
But I mean, anything that goes into overtime, I think is considered to be a really good game.
Yeah.
The way it ended was kind of
That
awful.
was rough. That was rough because
But-
it was. And in fact, I made a post that I was commented on too soon, when somebody said, "Who's the MVP of the game from the Tacoma side?" And I said, "Would it be wrong to say Jake Schindler?" So that's probably a little too soon for that comment.
I think the MVP is this guy right here, Elton De Oliveira. That dump he had into the corner was one of the best dumps into the corner I've ever seen. And I told him that.
So look, there was a lot of people stepping up in that game on both sides, right? But would you put it more on, I think that was the most we've seen Silva work, right? In the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is the most I think I've seen him work. So could we say maybe that blunder at the end was due to that level of intensity he had to go through? Because no one really tested him like that.
It could have been, but so I watched that last play a number of times. I still think he was positioned correctly, because you can't expect your own defender to crash your own net with the
Well, that's
ball
true
on
too.
you.
Yeah.
I think he was positioned just fine, and it popped up on Jake. And I mean, not like Jake did it on purpose, obviously, but Jake was running back and the ball popped up right at him, and it just, you have no way to dodge
Yeah,
that.
it's just the way the ball bounced, you know. So,
Yeah, but he could have grabbed it instead of hit it, you know, and avoided that. So I mean, it was just unfortunate. But then again, karma is something that I believe in. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's that.
but,
So
but Ramos played well. I think Ramos had a great game. Nick
Ramos did. Yep.
So one of my complaints about Tacoma in previous seasons was that you never know what team you're getting. Like, are we going to get the team that can beat San Diego and Monterey, or are we going to get the team that can't complete a pass? And I think it has to do a little bit with tweaking the lineups and things and chemistry. But it was like, okay, we got the team that can beat Florida. And I mean, and if you would look at a power rankings between Tacoma and Florida based on that one game, I would leave them tied, because that's about as close to a tie game as you can get.
Yep.
Yeah. The other thing about Tacoma is something. Maybe it's because it's their fourth game of the season, but they started off so slow. They were so cautious about how they played Florida, and it worked obviously, but they just started. So they were playing like Dallas. They were making sure that they were more defensive. And slowly work our way up there. And that's not Tacoma. At least not what I've seen of Tacoma.
Tacoma was the run and gun, just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
Right.
Yeah. It was interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe because they saw what Dallas did against Florida work. So they were like, maybe we should do that.
Yeah. All right. So next game, Fury and Sockers. I mean, what do we say about that? Frank, 3 games in a row, 3 hat tricks in a row. Like, okay.
I think some of those were right place, right time.
Oh, sure. But
I think
you get 70 right place, right time goals in a season, and you're doing something right all the time.
you're doing something right. Absolutely.
But Brian
You went muted somehow. Got nothing.
Okay, so we're going to translate for Geo. What he's saying is,
I love corn dogs. I want more
I hate
corn
you.
dogs.
I hate you guys.
I hate
It
you
was a
guys.
good. It
There
was
we
a good.
go.
There he is.
Oh, now
It
you're
was a
gone
good
again.
point.
There you go. So you said Brian, and that was the last thing we heard.
So Brian said it. You know, he made a great point about Frank. He's a two-way worker. He's a two-way player, and he plays more defense than I expected.
I noticed that this year of any year, and I think
Right.
it's. I mean, he's still not playing like the penalty kill situations, but there's not a lot of forwards that do in that spot. Not a lot of target forwards, I should say, that do.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, that's like one of the most complete games I've seen, and they were just rolling. And then I guess we can roll right into the next game, the Friday afternoon game, where they just rolled right over Tacoma, and it was just
that was rough for Tacoma.
it was rough, and you could tell that they had played. What was the game? It was, oh, that was 24 hours apart for Tacoma, but it was only not quite 24. Math is hard. It was 20,
Less than 24.
less than 24. It's either more or less, and it was less for Ontario to come back and play again after a high intensity game against San Diego.
Yeah,
I mean, that answered a lot of questions. Like, how do you do in a back-to-back game within 24 hours, and one team peaked and one team didn't? I think it also showed that if you get a game as intense as the one versus Florida for Tacoma, that you run out of gas.
Well, the other thing was, you know, that what Danny was talking about, how he didn't feel like himself. Like, he had a rough game in that game.
Yeah.
So maybe Danny was onto something when he said what he said.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So
So we have that. I don't know if we need to really go into that. I have something to say about the next game, but I'll say it later. So the Friday night game I watched.
Hold on. Do we want to like mention the scores for those that didn't see it?
Oh, yeah. Thursday, Tropics 6, Stars 7. Thursday night, Soccer's 1, Fury 5.
Well, Sockers didn't win.
No. Did you didn't catch that?
Well, you said Sockers won.
Oh,
So
So I like to call that game the West Coast battle, or sorry, the Cali battle. But then MASL went and changed it on me. So you know what?
all right. Soccer's 1 goal, Fury 5 goals.
oh, okay.
Friday afternoon was Stars 5, Fury 9.
Mhm.
And Friday night we get to Tropics 3, Soccer's 4. I believe that was an overtime again, but and we'll
Yeah,
get to this in a bit. I turn it off at halftime for reasons.
As did I.
I also turn it off at halftime because the KC game was on.
So I had both games on. I will say this. Soccer's has some really good players, man. Individually, they have some really, really talented players. If they could just come together a little bit more, because there's some moments that they have pure genius. It's like one-touch plays. It's these crazy passes, and it works well. But then that's like 1 out of every 20 possessions.
Yeah.
You kind of took the words right out of my mouth, and I was going to mention it at the end after Sunday's game, but you mentioned it. I mean, San Diego's offense is nowhere to be found. They're not capitalizing on anything. I mean, well, they have nine goals in the 3 games or something like that.
Yeah.
That's
And for the players they have, they should be putting away more.
So I kind of mentioned this the last 2 seasons before this one, they started out really slow and really flat, and then they ramped it up. But they still are slow and flat. I mean, they won 2 games and they only scored 4 goals.
Mm-hmm.
There was a game in one of their first games a couple weeks ago that they had like 5 passes connected, 3 of them in the air, and they scored. And I'm like, that's the San Diego I'm expecting to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen that at all. In fact, if we fast forward a little bit to Sunday morning's game, that was one of the most boring indoor soccer games I've ever watched in my entire life. you could tell the Stars were completely outgassed by like the middle of the first quarter. It looked so. If you ever watch Nick Prairie, he's a tall guy. He has super long legs and he's like a really long stride. So when he runs, it seems slow, but he's taking one step for every 2 steps that everyone else is taking.
Mhm.
True.
But on Sunday, Andre Hayne from the Wave is the same way. You look at him, you're like, wow, that guy's really slow. And then all of a sudden he's halfway down the field from everybody else.
A lot of people say that about me too.
You're more like the Raptor, though. Wasn't it the Raptor?
That's true.
So, but the whole team looked like that. The whole team looked like they were at 3/4 speed on Sunday for Tacoma, and San Diego too. There was a lot of weird possession that never went anywhere. There was a lot of turnovers. The refs weren't really involved in the game, so there weren't really a lot of fouls or anything. Not a lot of out of bounds. I mean, out of bounds all over the place with no glass, but not really anything. There was not like a flow to the game at all. It was just very, very chopped up into like, okay, let's run real quick here, and now the ball goes out of, okay, now we just pause. And
So, like I want to backtrack to the San Diego Fury game. I wanted to mention this. So Stinson did one thing besides play phenomenal defensively. He did very well. He shut down one of their main outlet, which was Escoto.
mm-hmm.
And if you notice in the games where San Diego won, he was probably one of their better players.
Yeah.
So Stinson did something phenomenal for them there. And that's the problem with San Diego. If it's not going through Brandon, if it's not going through Leo, it's not really going through anybody.
Which is crazy because they have so many other guys that can do it.
Exactly. I knew that the Sockers were tired on that Sunday game because Cerda and Pino were the ones taking the ball down. And I'm like, hold on.
Right. Yeah, wait a minute.
Hold on. They play the through balls, they don't dribble it down. What's going on? So, I mean, it's something to, like, I think Sockers can have a great season if they don't start so slow, because they don't need to, and they come together as a team instead of individual talent. I'm tired of seeing the one-on-ones rather than the one-touch passes, which they're obviously good at.
So the crazy thing about that, they're halfway through the season. So
You know what I think San Diego needs, and I've been thinking about this.
A giant 6-foot inflatable corn dog.
Well, they've got one of those.
Well, San Diego has one of those.
Yeah. I think San Diego needs someone like a target, like a big target forward, like a Bo Yelovak, that can just.
So get rid of Childs?
Well, I think Childs is good, don't get me wrong, but I just think they need a big body to kind of. Because I think San Diego, I won't say they're predictable, but they don't have that big target forward like all of these other teams, like Frank Tayu and Vinny Dantas.
So they had Taylor Bond, but he was out with an injury.
Yeah, so I just think San Diego is missing that one piece, I think.
I think this might be like I don't know how people are going to take it, but I think they need to realize Childs is coming to an end. Childs was a great player and all that, and still is a phenomenal name in the game, but that's what he is now, because his production this weekend wasn't there.
Yeah.
When he was on the ball, he barely did much. And I think, Slav had a great game. And when Slav was in and Childs was out, it seemed to be more offensive than when Craig was in. The other issue with Childs is he doesn't get back fast enough. And obviously, it's because of his age. It's like nothing against him. It's just, he's put on so many miles on those legs of his. I think it's just showing.
So Huff is in the chat. Hey, Huff.
What up, Huff?
He says legs are toast on a back-to-back, not enough time to recover to be able to compete at 100%. And then you have 3 and 4 days. And
yeah.
I mean, I get that there's no real home advantage this year for most of the games. I would argue against that in Kansas City. I think KC has enough of an atmosphere to provide that home field advantage. Not that they needed it. We'll get into that in a little bit. But the fact that San Diego's playing 3 games on the road. Now, granted, their games were half against, mostly against other teams that were on the road, but still, everyone's dealing with that.
But San Diego is one of those 3 teams, actually 4 teams that played this weekend, that has enough depth in their roster where they could have sat some of their players out for some games. Yep. Florida did this, and their last game, which we'll get to in a second, shows. I mean, they had Manfoot out for both their games, and look how big he was for their last game.
He's like the picture, Matt, that you had with Manfoot last season, I think it was just hilarious because you're like a foot and a half taller than he is.
You want me to send it to you?
No, it's okay. But
yeah, no, you're right. He is. Hannah's almost as tall as him.
He's the master of hitting the bottom of the crossbar on his shots with so much power that it damn near blows away the hole in the floor when it comes down. That was crazy. All right, so should we move on to the Comets games?
Well, did we just wrap up the Sunshine Series real quick with Fury?
Yeah, did we talk about the Florida Ontario game? We didn't even talk.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. So the last game of the weekend in Florida was this final score was 8-7, but the 7th goal was scored with 8 seconds left.
Oh, so it was 8-7.
It was 8-7.
So the MASL, I think on Twitter, said it was 8-5.
Somebody else said that, and then they changed the post on Facebook.
Okay, yeah, I saw it was 8-7. Yeah, that was another really good game. I think those are 2 of the top contenders as of right now.
Oh, absolutely. So
can we talk about how great of a job they did on Frank?
I was just going to say, so the X factor when you're getting 3, so he had 3 hat tricks in a row, and then he only had 2 goals the next game, and then completely shut down by Florida in the last game.
Who was the one that was man marking him? Was it oh my gosh,
I don't know.
I can't remember his name.
I was thinking Schindler was on him towards the end, but
no, most of the game it was hold on, I'm gonna tell you in a second. Rafa, thank you.
Oh, Alves, yeah.
Yeah, he did such a great. Anytime Frank was on the ball, he was on his back, and it was. And he's not a small dude, so he can go toe to toe with Frank. So it was great to see a strong back like that on him like that.
I think based on the fact that they know that now, I think the next meeting between these 2 teams is going to be interesting.
Yep.
But I think they might just rely on Stinson more because he's such a good player.
Right. And that's part of what I mean. They're either going to get Frank into different positions, or they're just going to assume the fact that Frank's going to be tied up with one of the defenders and they're going to go 4-on-4.
Right.
With different matchups.
Right. Which Ian was a big factor in that game too. I think his goal is the one that turned the tide. Yep. If I'm honest, because when he put that goal away, it just Florida looked like to have life, and they just went at him with Fury.
It was good. It was good to see Ricardo scored a couple goals. We saw Manfoot score a couple. Right. So we were talking about having other players contribute, and we saw that in this game. But we have to bring up that they were up 3 goals with like 5 minutes left, and they almost lost.
Yeah.
Well, now is that props to Fury or a shame on Florida?
Yes. So that reminds me. So if we're going to compare games here a little bit. So 5 minutes left. Fury's down by 3. They scored 2. Now, granted, the last one was, you could say that once players look at the clock and realize there's 10 seconds left, they're up by 2. They kind of slow down a little bit, but on the other hand, Sunday morning, Tacoma's down by 2 with 2 minutes left in a 6th attacker and never got a shot off.
Exactly.
And it wasn't even how good San Diego was playing in defense, although they were.
They were, but it's that's more on Tacoma.
No chemistry, no being able to try. I'm just like looking at the TV, and at one point I yelled out, like, shoot the something ball for something's sake.
But then again, it could have been the fact that they were gassed because
Right.
Nick could have easily given himself like he did that one. Oh, I'm sorry. Is Tayu? Oh man, the way he had him, I tweeted him like he had you on skates, and like a good player and a cool guy, he just laughed at it. But why couldn't Nick do that? Well,
I believe Huff grabbed a clip of that game and sent it to me as
Huff.
well.
Huff might have said a few things.
So that was the other game though. So it happened twice this weekend, and that's why Huff was like, I think teams are starting to target you.
Yeah, but in Uzi's defense, that first one from Nick,
I mean, anyone's gonna get put on skates with that.
that was absurd because everyone. So Nick has this crazy right-footed curling shot that he can curl it around like the third row in the stands and have it come back. You know what I mean? But he did that, and he did his signature move where I'm like, oh, he's going to his right foot, and Uzi bit, and he went to the left, and like, oh, okay, well, that's what he's gonna do now.
Yeah.
So that was
crazy.
crazy.
I've said Nick Pereira is one of the best ball handlers. I think Obasi's still the best, but I think Nick is like right up there.
You know what just surprises me, and it's not that he's like one of the best, but just surprises me is Slav. He surprises me sometimes. He's so big and so smooth with it. I'm like,
yep.
Where did that come from?
So there's a guy, if we ever get to watch games from our own teams again, there's a guy I want you to pay attention to, Ollie Berry from the Wave. First team player out of Forward Madison. He is giant. He's tall. But he had moves that looked like he was a tall Max Ferdinand last year.
Isn't he going to be on Gio's team?
He was going to be.
So, Ali, if you're watching, like we actually don't own teams, so I'm not sure where the email came from. Where
we kind of wish we did.
We kind of wish we did. I mean, we could, but neither of us has won that lottery yet that we need to do in order to buy a team, or all the teams, or however that may go. So anyway. Are we done with the Sunshine series?
Real quick, before we wrap up with Sunshine series, out of the 4 teams, to you guys, who's the winner and who's the loser?
Ontario winner. Florida loser. Has to. I mean, if you go based on records, it has to be. If you go based on momentum, I think Florida and San Diego are probably no. I think there's a clear 1, 2, 3 there.
How about you, Matt?
I'm gonna say Ontario definitely the winner. I'm gonna say San Diego. I mean, offensively, they just looked lost.
Yeah.
And I think Pardo and Vanzella kept him in all of those games. So I think for San Diego to turn the tide, they need to start putting away goals. Because you're not gonna win games 4-2 that often.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Fury winner, Tropics loser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They say defense wins championships or wins games. We watched and sorry, Gio. Wave beat the Blast 2-1 the year that they won the championship.
This guy never lets me forget about this.
That was, but no, I'm just.
Oh, thank God!
Using it as an example, so
thank God I froze.
There was a team that beat another team 2-1. It was one of the more exciting games I've ever seen.
So if you didn't hear what I said because I froze, I said this guy never lets me forget about this.
I heard that. So, but anyway, so that game 2-1, one of the most exciting games I've ever seen. Sunday, Soccer's 4, Tacoma 2, one of the most boring games I've ever seen. So for people to say you have to have goals in order to make a game exciting, absolutely not.
You just have to go. You just have to have good defense against good offense.
Right. So the fact that the Sockers won 2 games and only scored 4 each, one of them was against Florida, and the other one was against not a slouch Tacoma team. I mean, Tacoma lost 2 in a row, but they're still not a bad team.
No, they were just tired.
I think if I don't think, like I said, going forward, I don't think scoring 3 goals is going to help. If you play like once a week and your legs are fresh, whatever, I don't think 3 goals is going to do much good for anyone.
Yeah, no, not a chance. Yeah. You know, we forgot to include Tacoma in those Sunshine Series games.
I mean, I still think Tacoma's a great team. I'm still going to say they're going to win the whole
Didn't we
thing.
talk about Tacoma?
Well, we did, but so for the winner and loser. So we all agree that Ontario was a winner of the Sunshine Series.
Yeah, and
But I
Florida's
think-
loser.
Now that I'm thinking about it, Florida and Tacoma are kind of tied for loser spot.
But are they though?
I don't know.
Because
If you go based on tiebreaker, they only played once, and
well, no, not just off of game results, but overall, you know, where you could say Tacoma, you know, they're on the road. They didn't have the depth of rosters or the luxury that Florida has being home. And again, they're home and they lost two games.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
that's true. Yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of, I think what we're saying is Ontario's the top, and then the 3 are just kind of
yeah,
mixed in. It could be interchangeable, really.
yeah. I
I
mean,
don't think you could say San Diego's a loser though. I don't think so.
I did.
I think they have a lot of room to grow. They need to grow if they have hopes to even winning this format of the league.
but they're in so 5 games into a 24 game season is one thing. Because this is about how, I mean, San Diego didn't look good at all last season and still managed to win early games. Like they didn't look good, but they still managed to win. That's where they are
Right.
now. They just don't have enough games to get the momentum going. Like to make
Right, and that's my thing. So it's like I get San Diego's not looking good, but they're winning and they have what 5 games left?
Yeah.
I think 5 games
Played
left
5, have 5 left.
to get themselves ready for the playoffs. But again, like I said, if they don't figure it out, they're not going to win this format of the league. And I know that tag in it to win it, but you're not going to win it like that.
So let me just update you on the playoff format.
Oh, good.
It's yet
Yeah.
to be determined and will be announced at a later date.
Oh,
So
God.
the teams are going into these games. All they know is that whatever is going to be decided based on win percentage. Well, what is going to be decided? Seeding, number of corn dog tickets you can give away.
I think so me being positive Nancy, maybe. The teams already know what the playoff format is. I think we the fans don't.
And what kind of idiotic decision was it to let the teams know and not let the fans know? Like why wouldn't you let your fans bring up the hype?
Do we have we not said it enough that the league should be ran by some third party and not owners?
Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit. Positive Nancy. It's I believe the term is positively cynical.
Or positive Peter.
Positive Peter, yeah.
No, I like positive Nancy.
All right.
That's what
So
we'll stick
let's
with
get
positive
into
Nancy.
the KC games because we got a whole bunch to cover. And we're at 45 minutes in here. By the way,
Casey, I'm just
Are
going
you
to say,
serious?
wait, go ahead.
I was just gonna say 9 p.m. passed. Jeff Locker is the official winner of the jersey. Congratulations, Jeff. We will.
wish I could thank-
I'll send you a message tomorrow. We'll figure out all the details. And thank you very much. I'm sure Chino's family will thank you for the donation. Thank you, Doug, for pitching in as well. I really appreciate all everyone's done on this, and hopefully we can make a difference here a little bit.
Yeah, and thank you everyone that bid as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
It really means a lot to us.
We were hoping it went the way it did, but I felt bad because it did go the way it did. A lot of people probably figured they weren't going to be able to bid because they just ran out of time, or it would go too far above what they wanted to do.
Right.
And it's not electronic, so they can't bid at the last second. Sorry, guys.
I'm just glad we were able to do something, and that the In the Box family was able to help support as well.
Yeah, we'll figure out other ways to help because I want to have another fundraiser type show that we did last year.
Yep.
Only
We'll have to figure
you.
out how to do that. All right, so Kansas City hosting back-to-back, well, not back-to-back, Friday night and Sunday night games against Dallas.
Do we even
I'm
talk
gonna-
about the Sunday game?
I'm gonna make it short and sweet. Kansas City won the entire week for me. I think they showed us what they were made of, and they looked great.
So
Both
this
games
kind
they
of
looked
sums
great.
up Kansas City for me. An hour after the game last night, Dennis sent me a text and said, "Oh shit, Kansas City just scored again." So they complete domination both games. The first one looked closer, but it wasn't.
I don't know about that because that first game, KC looked a little nervous at when Dallas turned the tide, but they didn't do what they normally do, which is fall apart when the pressure's on. They figured it out and they picked up their defense. The second game, we don't even need to talk about that because we obviously KC dominate.
So here's the thing: the first game, Dallas scored the first minute, and I think Kansas City wasn't even ready yet. They were like, wait, do over, like timeout, no, do over, like we're not ready. And it took them until it was 12:48 in the first until Sosa tied it up. But then they never gave up the lead through the whole game. At one
I
point,
know, but then they were up 9 to what was it?
They were up 7 to 5.
Right.
No, wait. They
No,
were up 7 to 3. Here's what it was.
Yeah,
they were up 7
right.
to 3. And of course, Eric and Nick started talking about, well, we've been in the situation before. Let's see them close out a third quarter and like immediately Dallas scores. They came out of halftime talking about that, and then Dallas scored twice in a row. They brought it within 7 to 5, and then Comets just ran away with it again.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
But I think
had it been any other team,
go ahead.
Had it been any other team, they could have lost the game.
I think that the wake up call was, oh crap, we've seen this before, and it was a huge gut check for them to step up and then start scoring again.
Exactly.
Yep.
I think Dallas. So Dallas had a shit week. They all the snowstorms and ice storms, and guys didn't have running water. Guys didn't have heats, electricity, things like that.
They didn't
Dallas
practice for a
wasn't
whole
able
week.
to practice all week.
Yeah.
And I still think that this isn't really a good thing for Dallas. I think they played their best game of the season Friday night, and they still lost by four. They still lost by 4 goals.
I think so. That's an issue in its own. But so 2 things. One, I love the attitude that these guys don't quit. Let's forget the second game, because the second game they walked onto the field already had given up. Yeah. But the first game they fought until the end. But then kicks in my second point. They need a new coach, or they need an assistant coach that drives that forward thinking mentality instead of. They have great ball possession. They're probably one of the better teams with ball possession. But the problem is that their ball possession is from the yellow line back.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, like other teams, the whole point of playing a possession game is you make the other team chase.
Right.
And if the other teams realize that they can just sit behind their yellow line and wait for them to come up for 2 minutes, and they get essentially a free 2-minute shift break, that's you're giving the other team more power and more energy than taking it away. It's almost the exact opposite of a possession game.
And then not to mention that they have that St. Louis early season syndrome where they don't know how to finish. How many opportunities did they have where they could have put one away but didn't? They hit it off their foot just to hit it onto their other foot, or didn't catch the hit right and it was just like really soft strike, or they hit a post. Like Mujin is one of the best players, but he just couldn't find the way to connect the ball.
He's been struggling. I feel bad, but because I mean, you go through a horrible week like that, where the only hot shower you get is in the hotel room at the city you're visiting, and then you give up 23 goals in 2 games.
It's tough. I mean, D'Souza, probably one of the best up and coming players.
Absolutely. I
Lu-
think
Lipe, is Lipe doing Lipe things as
I
they
hate to
say?
say it though, but D'Souza is out Lipeing Lipe.
Oh yeah, of
That was
course,
hard to
of
say,
course,
but yeah.
of course. Because
Yeah,
Lipe's never gonna be the star because he's the assist.
Yeah.
Souza is the finish. I mean, with a cannon like his, I mean, they gave him a nickname, a hashtag, because I was like, hey, that's a cannon. So now it's Lipe the Cannon.
Nice.
yeah, I think you're right. I think a coaching change needs to happen down in Dallas. I think fans want it, and I think there's too much talent on that team to it's wasted. And to be completely honest with you, like watching Freddie Mugen play for years, watching Lipe at the All-Star game and what he's been doing, like I think you need to have a different coach, different change of scenery.
It's the we're gonna bring this up in a little bit on my what I would do as a commissioner, but it's the why do the same things over and over and over again and expect a different result. It's like the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's going on. It's like, no, we'll do better because I got this perfect plan. And what we're going to do is the same thing we did last year that didn't work.
Yeah, but now they're at what, 7 games in, and
8. I think it's 8. I think it's 1-7.
It's 8 and they're only playing 13.
right. So it's like at this point, like they should have pulled the trigger a long time ago.
They should have
They should
100%.
have pulled the trigger at 6, honestly,
But
at latest for the
are they
latest.
too far in that? So here's the problem with pulling the trigger is the owner is the guy who has to fire the coach, and the two people are the same person. So you go, you know what? It's really not working out. Okay. Yeah, I understand. I am gonna have to let you go.
But
Okay.
so here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? I get it, but this is why. So I don't know. This is a topic I wanted to cover for my commissioners talk, but like since we got into this realm, I think me if I was an owner, and I talked to some owner that made me realize this when they told me that they didn't love their team, because if you love your team, you're gonna make decisions that don't help your team. So like if you're like, hey, I love my team, I'm gonna push them forward as a coach. Well, no, you're not. You're actually making it worse. So at what point do you stop loving the team? Like, okay, this is a business. In a business world, if something isn't working, you change it.
Yep.
Or you fire it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So as an owner, I get the fact that you love your team. I get the fact that you love it when it's self-sustaining and successful. Until then, realize it's a business, fire yourself, and get someone that does a job better. Everton said it the best. If he doesn't work and isn't getting what he needs to done, Shelley's going to replace him. And he's okay with that because he knows he isn't doing what he's supposed to.
Yeah. You come in, your job is supposed to be at whatever position you're in, coach, owner, probably not owner, coach, assistant coach, player, whatever. Your job is to make the team better. It's not to make yourself better. Right. If you're not making the team better, you should expect that they'll bring in someone that will.
And I feel like the investors, because he doesn't own the team himself, he has a partial ownership to it, and then he has investors, financial investors.
Sure.
So at what point do the financial investors step in and say like, okay, look, you're hurting our brand. You need to get out of this seat, focus on this seat, and bring in someone that can do this job.
They should do it now. Like this weekend, giving up. And I understand the circumstances. Don't get me wrong. I understand the whole snowstorm, ice storm thing. But giving up 23 goals in 2 games, and a lot of fans have like, I know Dallas fans, and they've told me the same thing. They're like, we want him out. Like,
oh, there's fans that all the Dallas fans jumped over to Mesquite because they just didn't want to support him anymore.
Exactly.
So it's
not even like it's not even a surprise because this isn't their only game this year that they've lost that bad. They lost 8-0 to Florida.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. So it's the 22nd right now. It's a Monday. Their next game is almost 3 full weeks away on March 12th.
Perfect time to have this change.
Perfect time. Get someone new in. Even
at Freddie Mugen.
I was just gonna say that. Make it Freddie Mugen and just step away and let Freddie run his own thing.
Right.
The players already know him. I believe they would follow him. Let him maybe step back a little bit from playing and focus a little bit more on coaching. That doesn't mean he won't play. Just right now he's 100%. I got to try to put this on my shoulders and win, and maybe take a little bit of that pressure off of him.
Yeah.
And if the coach really wants, if the coach still wants to be involved, be the assistant coach. But Freddie be the one that commands the ship.
Yep.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right, Freddie,
So-
we've appointed you Dallas
Yep.
head coach.
Let's
Go
make
There
it
you go.
happen. Hey, Sidekicks Twitter. I know you know who you are, and you know you watch his show. So start hashtagging this.
Make it happen. Make it happen.
So on the opposite side, I have to give credit where credit is due to myself, real quick. At the beginning of the season, I said Adam James was going to have one heck of a year, and so far, he's been producing for Kansas City. He's on fire.
Cliff said it in the halftime yesterday that Adam James makes things look easy. And it's not he's just there on the right playlist at the right time. It's just that his foot skills and his movement off the ball are so good. It doesn't look like, and this is not absolutely not 100% not an insult at all. It's in fact a compliment. It makes it look easy. So obviously I play bass. You see all this mess around me. I watch bass players play who make the bass look easy. Watch Geddy Lee from Rush play some of the most complex shit ever written, and with a big smile on his face and jamming around and jumping around, looking like he's not even exerting himself. That's what Adam James does on the soccer field. It's so natural to him and it flows so well.
It's funny. So like I agreed with you, Adam. I mean, sorry, Matt. I agreed with you. But the funny thing is, on Twitter, I was talking to Huffman about the MVP, right?
Yep, I remember that.
I mentioned Adam James, and the one besides individually how good he is and how easy he makes it look, it's just the overall feeling he gives KC, right? When he's off the field, KC is a little bit more reserved. When he's on the field, they're just go, 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 go. And it's just that intensity KC has when he's on the field. It's completely a different team, and it's phenomenal that he can get them to do that. But they need to do that more.
So what
Yeah,
he reminds me of,
Well, I was going to say, and also now they've got Dominic Francis, James Togba. So you've got one great midfielder. You've got one great defenseman that has joined, and they paid off this week. I mean, they played really, really well.
what this team reminds me of is the one that won the championship up and then went 20-0. That's what this KC team reminds me of, because they have
good, man.
They have the defensive shell that if they need to go back into it, but then they just pounce on every opportunity and just chase. And the game plan isn't all that difficult. And I don't want to lower what people are doing, but yes, Mike DeSilva is an awesome addition for KC. It's you high pressure, you double team, and you take advantage of missed balls and breakaways, and they do all that like really, really well. And then you got Leo. Like I wrote Eric Berger a message the other day. Leo's goal that he scored yesterday, I think his first goal, where he did that turnaround and just upper 90.
That
Didn't even look at the goal.
I said that was the most Leo-ish goal I've ever seen Leo make.
Yep.
Because it's just I've had nightmares of that shot. Just somebody right on him and him turning around and scoring somehow. No, like, where did that even come from?
That was like the upper 40.
Oh God.
Oh, but also I want to give a quick shout to Huffman, because he made a huge point when we were in that same conversation I was telling you about Charlie on Furies.
Yeah.
He's like the mastermind we don't pay attention to.
Right.
Because he controls that midfield and distributes so well, but we don't, because he's not making like the crazy assists or the crazy goals. No one really pays him no attention.
Yeah, I know. He flew under our radar.
His name, yeah, right. His name.
Oh, sorry, Brian Aguilar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
His name is not Frank Tayu. so he doesn't stand out on that. You listen to the announcers, and unfortunately, we had to listen to one for 100 games this
Oh my
weekend.
God, Brian,
I'm
I'm gonna turn my camera off when you start talking to him because conflicts of interest.
So there's so many stars on that team that people just don't know about because the announcers are so fixated on the big name. And I mean, Stinson's obviously a standout, but every Diabru or Deabreu, as you really pronounce it, De Leon, Clayson, holy crap. He made some saves that I was like, where did that come from?
Yeah. That was my big question mark going into the season for Ontario. I mean, Clayson Lima's been there for years, and he's been behind Toth, and Toth has played every single game. So DeLima's had like a few games experience. So going into the year, that was the big question mark, and so far so good.
However, save of the week goes to Lou Meisner.
Oh my God.
In whatever the hell happened where he was way over here, blocked a shot, and then teleported all the way over here and blocked it with what looked like his face as he flew over to the other side. Holy shit. That was that.
It's funny. So Eric and Nick just kept saying, "Oh, Lou Meisner's out of position. Lou Meisner's out of position."
But
Lou Meisner should have gotten an assist on that goal.
Can we talk about how it worked for him?
Lou Meisner was the Adam James of goalkeeping in that game. Because like you said, Gio, when he's on the bench, they're a little bit more reserved. When he gets out there, they're banned. And when he's out there, all of a sudden Lou Meisner is making a save in the middle of 4 players at midfield. Like, where did he come from?
Exactly.
And then that shot that I was talking about, the goal's wide open. The guy puts it perfectly on target. That any other situation, that's a goal. 99 out of 100 times. And all of a sudden there's this flash of yellow from nowhere, and Meisner saves it. I was like, what?
Also, I wanted to ask you guys a question. When did Mark join KC?
What? When did who?
Mark Sagsby.
Oh, Sagsby's been there for
a while ago.
I'd say like 3 or 4 years, maybe.
Maybe. When did Waltman leave? Because they had Patterson, and I think Saxby was his backup, because Saxby played in the same season that Casey played there.
Yeah, Patterson only played 1 year.
Because is that the same Saxby that plays for Wichita?
Yes.
Interesting. I didn't know they could double roster like that. That's the only reason why I bring it up.
Same Saxby who still owes Milwaukee 2 balls that are still up on the scoreboard. Same Saxby that squirted water at the Milwaukee Wave owner's brother and almost got caught as the owner's brother ran through the goal out onto the field during a goal celebration. But we won't.
Yeah, that same one. Yeah.
So I think we covered all the games.
Yep.
Let's bring up the ball sanitizing rule.
Oh God, I need another beer for this one.
So when there's fans in the games, the rule is a ball goes in the crowd. If a fan touches it, or no matter what happens, so it goes from a fan who has no gloves on to an usher with no gloves on to another usher with no gloves on to the refs with no gloves on, who then sanitize the ball and then throw it back on, put it back into rotation to play. If there are no fans in the field, the ball goes from one usher with no gloves on, who throws it to another usher with no gloves on, who throws it right back onto the field. So what, and I get it. We're talking about COVID and we want to sanitize. We don't want a fan to infect the players, but if I don't get it. I don't get it.
So from what I saw and what I've been told is that when they get it to the ushers, like the central box where they keep all the balls, someone there sanitizes it.
Sure, once it gets there, but in the games where there were no fans, it went right from usher to right on the field. So are all the ushers then tested and 100% negative, or I don't know. It's so
Yeah, it's well, I think I don't know the actual answer, but I know with the M2 tournament that they had in Wichita, they only allowed people in that had been
Tested, yeah.
tested negative and stuff like that. So they were fine. So they did the whole ball thing, threw it on the field because they had no fans. So I don't know if that's the case with this.
What seemed weird to me is there, and so as a kind of related aside, my wife works for Vega's futsal complex, and part of what they do is they have to take temperatures of people coming through the door. And I said, "Have you ever had to turn away someone?" And she's like, "No." And I just like, well, if you're taking temperatures of hundreds of people and you have not yet to turn away one person, what's the point of doing this? So the reason I bring it up is because we have a fan. Here's a situation that happened a number of times, and granted, the PA announcer always says something, but the fan catches the ball, they give it to the player, the ref goes no, and he takes the ball from the player, gives it to the usher, who then gives it to the other usher, who gives it to the box, and then they sanitize it. Well, at that point, does it really matter?
Yeah. So that's a great point, and I think this is where they need to enforce the fact that they put glass up around all the arenas and the nets, and whatever goes into the fans, they keep it, or an usher with gloves collects it and cleans it there on the spot.
Right. Yeah. Right. Which, yeah.
I think that should be the case. I think, yeah, with sanitation, it needs to be done like right then and there, not like transmitted from person A to usher B to usher C to whoever's in the box A.
And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have safety protocols, because I believe probably more than a lot of people, that there should be more safety than less at this point. But what they're doing now is only one step away from not doing anything at all.
Yeah.
And the whole nonsense about Florida, oh, they haven't played hockey here in so long, they couldn't even find the glass. Well, then pony up some money and buy some glass.
That's the same owners that don't want to pony up the money to buy a turf.
Yeah. Here we go. Guess what topic we're on now?
Oh my God.
I mentioned earlier that I turned off the Friday night. Was it Friday night? Thursday night? Friday night? What game was that I turned off? Soccer's and Tropics. Friday night.
So it was Friday night.
So there were 6.
Because he was the only player to accept the ball from a fan.
There were 6 games in Florida over the weekend. 6.
Can you do that again? Can you go?
No, probably not, because this is confusing enough. 5 of them, this is 5, were the standard $7.99 per game. One of them was the MASL featured game of the week for free. You want to take a guess at which game the sound was all fucked up on? Yeah. So
number 5,
the free game. Now whatever they did Thursday to fix their video, I will give a half, almost standing up ovation. Not that they fixed it, not that it looks good, but
they fixed it.
They finally fixed it.
Yep.
And it looked great. I mean, the video quality, absolutely perfect.
Yep.
I ran upstairs because I had on my second monitor while I was working and on meetings and things, so I didn't listen to a lot of it on Thursday. but I ran upstairs during a break and watched it on the big TV for like 2 minutes. I was like, holy shit, you finally fixed. And actually the quality now is better than it was last season when we thought things were great.
Right.
Now let's talk the announcing style. So Brian Ackley needs a color announcer with him who's knowledgeable. I love Antonio Manfoot, not a good color announcer. And I think he was probably a little intimidated at holy shit, I'm talking to no one, but also hundreds and thousands of people at this point. Didn't really flow very well. But listening to Brian alone made the most boring soccer game I've ever watched that much worse because there was no emotion at all. Like, listen to Craig Elston, Nick Vassos, Mario Alvarez, who, by the way, Mario, if you are watching out there, I will be contacting you in the next couple of days. Stay tuned.
Eric.
Yeah, watch these guys who actually get it. Nick Vassos is probably the number one person. Craig Elston's very, very, very close. Tom Wynn in Milwaukee won't really announce other teams' goals. They're like, oh, shot in a goal, that kind of thing, which perfectly understandable for home team announcers. But Nick Vassos really gets into almost every goal that's scored, whether it's against his team or for his team.
Yeah.
Awesome job at it. Brian Ackley took both games as if they were both away teams, and he didn't really care. And he's announcing like a midsummer baseball game.
I was gonna steal what you said about the baseball style.
And Pardo. Pass this to Escoto. To Childs. Back to Pardo. Back to Escoto.
I can't even react because never mind.
And did I mention that in 1984, the Tropics actually the Tim Mala played here because they had one team that was the Rowdies that didn't have a team, and by the time they had a team, it was too late and they didn't have a place to play, so they actually played here in Lakeland.
I will say he would make a great color commentator.
He would make a great color commentator, I think. I think my personal thoughts are that hey, Eric agrees Nick is best, only second to Eric Bergerud.
Straight from Eric's.
Yeah, right. Fingers.
We're just kidding, Nick.
My feeling is that Brian has a history or has a background in radio broadcasting.
He does. He does.
Where you need to describe like every little pass and every little thing because you have to paint the picture in the mind. But maybe like radio broadcasting of baseball or golf.
Yeah, I was about to say the Masters.
So he used to broadcast, well, still does radio, mainly baseball games. He used to do football, but mainly now he did baseball until what he's doing with MASL and MASL too.
He's going with the 8-iron here, which I think is a very interesting choice.
Brandon Escoto, a 20-foot putt for birdie.
I can't with you guys, please.
And then a Florida broadcast, it's goal. I mean, he's just insane on every goal. Eric, we can always count on you for at least one Huff reference a game, I think. Although Hannah's taking precedence over Huff there. That might be a good battle. Hannah versus Huff.
I can't bet against my girl. So speaking of Hannah, she beat us all in the picks.
Of course.
Oh, right. We got to talk about that. So my record was 4-4.
What's my record? I mean, what's the picker wheel record?
I think you went 2-6. I was 4-4.
He was all right. The picker wheel tried to pick Dallas, and I told it not to.
Yeah.
And then you made me pick Dallas anyway.
I could have been 5-3 if I didn't switch the Ontario Tacoma game.
It's funny because
had I not gone with whatever
Dallas.
Yeah.
Looking at the picks, the only one that I probably would have changed on my own was the Dallas KC game.
Yeah.
So you still would have went bad.
I would have gotten 3 out of 5, 3 and 5 or whatever.
What did Hannah do? 5 and 3.
5-3.
She beat us by 1. We're almost as good. Well, this was kind of a.
We're not as good. We're nowhere near as good as Hannah.
So I told her,
I
so
was
just
gonna
let you
say
guys know.
my league record is nowhere near Anna's, but still,
Yeah.
let me
No,
have this weekend.
So I talked to Hannah tonight, and I told her, I said, you beat everybody, and she goes, Hannah for the win.
So I've said this already. Watching her grow up by doing these videos and picks has been one of the coolest things for me as a Hannah fan, and everyone else I'm sure is a Hannah fan, because she started out where Henry is right now, just like bouncing off the walls and just all over the place, and then out.
Yeah. There are videos. I mean, if you go on Turf and Boards, I did predictions with Hannah for like the MASL playoffs like 3 years ago or something like that, and she's just like all over the place. And now she's more like wants to sit and talk to you guys.
Yeah. And yeah, we don't even have to say hi, Hannah. She sees when people log in, she starts saying hi right away, and
Yeah.
cool stuff. So anyway, so broadcasts, it's tough to watch a Florida broadcast still. The video quality, I would put on so my rankings were a 10 out of 10 would be something we would feel comfortable putting on the air just for the video quality alone. And I think for the quality, a 10 out of 10.
I love the camera angles. Those camera angles are great.
Like the ref's ass shot angle.
Well, not the ref's ass, but like
they fixed that. They told the refs not to stand there.
That's not how you fix that.
I like being down and like it's just
there were some good angles. I don't like the behind the goal angle, and I don't like, one of my pet peeves in all of soccer is switching the angle during an offensive play.
Oh yeah,
because I think what they try to do is they try to get the goal angle, and then when it goes back out, they try to do the same. And there's like goals missed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
I
a lot of
think
teams
just
are
keep
guilty.
the main camera, and then like if something happens, then highlight it from that angle.
Right. That goal, that in the goal camera angle is really bad for watching live, but really good for replays.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, especially if it's that camera for like a good 2 minutes, and the play is like
St. Louis
all the way down to St. Louis.
That said, we have 4 teams doing broadcasts, and I think
That was like a mistake, right?
I think I can rank them based on overall how I feel about them. Kansas City's number 1. Dallas, St. Louis, Florida are all tied for like 50th.
Yeah, and then next month we get to see Ontario's.
Next month we get to see Ontario, which when 11 Sports came in, so 2 seasons ago, Ontario bought all new equipment and upgraded all their stuff and hired a new company to do their broadcast. And they went from
nice,
decent and good to incredible.
Those graphics are awesome. I hope they have them again this year.
I would assume they would.
Real quick, I think Dallas would be great if they could stop with these random sounds and images.
So that's the thing. I never have to question a KC broadcast. They had issues with the camera too far away. They fixed them. We can't really call the fog in the All-Star game an issue because that was a fog's issue and not the broadcast. But like every little thing that was
awful,
they improved on, and the announcing team is top notch. I'm not just kissing up to you, Eric, because I'm just waiting for the comment, but just that's the thing I posted the other day. That's the gold standard is KC. St. Louis and Dallas are still running like a very, very good high school team run by students, high school broadcast run by students.
Yeah.
No, let's put a monster in every time a guy goes into the penalty box with no words on it.
I think St. Louis would be better. Like nothing against the announcers, but the team. I don't. Maybe they need to change the color, or maybe they need to change the play-by-play. But something has to change because as far as quality, the sound obviously needs work, but as far as like the video itself, it's pretty good.
Yeah, right. And actually the sound, they fixed the sound, but it's still, now you have your stuff. Now you have your basic, like how to do a broadcast 101 things fixed. Now it's time to make it professional.
Exactly. And that's where the team, the announcer team, the color coordinator and play-by-play
Yep.
needs to be top notch.
And they have to have a good producer who knows the game and knows what they're doing and knows angles,
Exactly.
knows when to do things. I don't know how many times Florida just broke to a commercial because somebody saw the ref make a signal. Like they never, ever go to a media timeout on a foul. That's not the rule. And 4 minutes into the game or whatever, like, oh, we're going to media timeout. And then they cut to commercial and they don't cut back when the play starts. They cut back in the middle of the play.
Or they cut back halfway through the commercial and like, oh, I thought it was a media timeout, but it's a foul.
Right.
And so like, you know, how much we love to kiss up to Eric and Nick, but the shout out to their producer, Brian. I mean, he, like, the guy who does the highlights and everything, like, he does a phenomenal job behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
He does a great job.
I've seen NFL games where they think they're going to commercial and they start to play like the outro music and they're like, oh, we're going to stay right here. And then done. They don't make a big deal out of it. They don't dwell on it. They don't, oh, look at that. Oh, I thought we were going to commercial, but we're really not. I think it was the Fury Stars game Friday night. No, when was it? There was one game in Florida.
It was a Florida Stars game.
Yeah. I said, what is this? Like, bring your toddler to the booth night? Because with 2 minutes left in the game, they cut the commercial. And then they cut the audio out of the commercial, but kept the video on. Then they bring it in, and then they show the final graphic with the final score with like 20 seconds in the game left. I'm like, guys, this shouldn't be this hard. And then you got the camera that goes over and you got the guy's hand sitting there with holding a bunch of papers and stuff like that.
I mean, Eric has a point. Like, you know, we might not know how to do the broadcast, but as fans, we can speak to the experience, right? And that's what it's all about. You know, it's the experience. You know, obviously we can't go there physically, so we have to live via your broadcast. So as fans, this is what we would like to see. And granted, we are probably some of the more, I don't want to say top fans, but like more loving of the game type of fans, where we're just extra. We go that extra mile.
I consider myself top 3,000 or so.
Yeah.
Yes, man.
I just want to see Florida with a new turf. You know, that's it's great that they had the video quality, but when you're looking at that, it still is embarrassing. I'm sorry. Like, I was talking to, I'll say it, I was talking to Tommy Tanner, and I asked him, I said, how much would it take for them to get a new turf? He threw out a number, and it was, I think that Florida could put in a nice, maybe orange turf with teal lines, or teal turf with orange lines or something, to make that video quality even better.
The problem with the turf
Is everything.
Is everything. I mean, you got what, 98% of the games are played in Florida this year, it seems, or whatever.
How many times did it fold up?
That's what's represented in the league. So the problem with getting better video quality is you can see all the details on the turf better.
Yep.
That's not a problem in Kansas City. That's a problem in Florida. So the people who are exposed to this game for the first time, is that the field you're going to leave all your replays on and your highlight videos?
Yeah, looking at a 25-yard line.
Right.
Like you watch
Green.
Ian Bennett's down the 10. He's at the 15. He's at the 20.
So
no, wrong sport.
The guy in Cedar Rapids used to call games like that.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
man.
Like, just, no, it has to be a soccer turf.
And don't brag about the updates that your arenas had. Oh, the arenas had a number of renovations. There's some really nice looking seats in here. When I'm looking at this thing that I could grow better in my backyard in the snow than this turf that's out there. Yeah.
You know, here's an idea. Florida could buy Mississauga's turf.
From Lewis?
Lewis, yeah.
So let's get into the next topic, because that's my
So Matt, this is where we listen and we critique.
And we take notes, right?
You can comment on stuff.
I've already seen it. He sent it to us, so I know.
No. It's doubled the size.
I've written a lot. So
you have.
This is my master's thesis on what I would do, what I did on my summer vacation, what I would do as commissioner. And this is from my point of view, based on my point of view of the game. A lot of the things the three of us talk about, things that I've talked to other people about.
And we're not
Let's start-
changing stadiums based on the capacity.
Yeah, right. So let's talk about the things I would not do, because I don't feel these are very important right now in the game. Don't mess with the scoring system. Don't change any rules. Unless we're talking specifically player safety, in which there's a committee that should be focused on that. Don't worry about standard field sizes. I've seen a number of people say, first thing I would do as commissioner is make every field the same size. No, that's not the important problem in this game. That's not a problem to fix right now. And no, we're not looking at expansion. We're not actively expanding. Not going to look at actively expanding. If there are teams that can come in and put a good plan together, like Cleveland, like Wichita may do, like the Fort Worth team may do, that's one thing. But as a commission, I would not actively look for expansion opportunities. So here's what I did. And I feel like I need slides or your whiteboard. Or
Wait.
something. Yes.
That was a great intro, but I don't want to kill your thunder. Do we talk about Facebook first or do this?
What do you mean about Facebook?
Just, talk about how well it's been.
We'll talk about that afterwards.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So things I would do as commissioner, I wrote this down as short term, medium term, and long term. Short term are like immediately day one. Medium term are like, let's say, the first season, and long term is that and beyond. First thing, obviously, the nobody can overlook this: mandatory corn dogs at every arena.
Come on.
Hey, come on.
Done.
That's obvious.
So now we get to the serious ones. Keep the momentum going. Don't act like a CEO coming into a company who feels like they need to make a change just because they're coming in to replace somebody. Like, the momentum that Josh Schaub has had in this league over the last few years is really good. That needs to be kept. Like, don't come in and go, oh, here's the list of what Josh Schaub accomplished. We're going to start dismantling these things one by one. This isn't a presidential race where one party beats out the other party and now the party needs to undo. Keep it going.
On it.
Second thing, this is not going to make people happy. Dismantle Florida.
Oof.
Tear it down. Hold an open draft for all the Florida players who want to play somewhere else. Open throughout all the other teams to be able to sign. Yes.
So would you be open to owner change?
I think no at this point, because of the damage I think Florida's done to the reputation of the league, based on things like the player market, the shitty turf that the owner thinks isn't a problem, the broadcast that the owner thinks isn't a problem, and these things. I think if another owner wants to come in and put together another team in Florida, that could be seen as expansion down the road. But I think right now, for the absolute short term, like, and I'm talking like between April and next season, they're out. Take them down. Next one, I'm driving bombs all over here.
I don't know if I can agree with that one, but go ahead.
That's fine. I don't expect everyone to agree. I especially don't expect the Florida players to agree because of how well they are treated.
Yeah.
And one of my theme here is the commissioner needs to focus on two things: the players and the fans. That's where I'm coming up with all these things that I came up with. Those are the two focal points. It's not the owners. It's not the cities. It's not the history of the sport. It is the players who are playing it and the fans who are supporting it. Those are the two focal points right now. Not that the other things aren't important, but that's where we need to focus as a sport right now. So that said, I think the guy's a nice guy, but fire Ryan Sigich as head of referees. Whatever is going on is not working. And we talked about definition of insanity before. Fans bitch about the refs, players bitch about the refs, refs bitch about the refs, and there's no consistency. Yesterday, I saw Sigich call a 3-line pass on somebody, when they were clearly 5 or 6 feet over the yellow line.
It was Silva.
I think it was.
Eric, I got you, by the way, Eric. When we meet in person, I got you.
I also saw him in the same game call a pretty obvious 3-line pass as no 3-line pass. We had a game, the other game that I was mentioning, one of the first games of the weekend, I think it was the Thursday game, where the refs didn't know where to line the players up for a top of the arc shootout or top of the arc free kick.
Can we talk about how many calls they reversed or changed?
Right. So here's what's not happening. Now, granted, I still think he has the potential to be one of the better referees in the game. I will take my personal preference away from that because that's not what a commissioner type person should do. I think he's one of the more experienced, but I think there needs to be someone who can really take over that role and set standards, have regular meetings, have regular points of, emphasis, go over plays every week. He had a thing that he did. I remember a couple seasons ago where he did like the "you make the call" thing, and he did a little, what's the call?
Yeah,
and then he did
that was cool.
That was awesome because there were things that fans were positive were one way or another, and he's like, nope, it's absolutely this way based on the rule. Yeah, Gio, what were you gonna say?
So what I would love to see, and I'll probably bring this back up when it's my turn, but I would love to see the league create not just like a head of commissioner, but more of a committee, and maybe with a joint third party establish a education system for referees, for licensing and everything. Obviously, this would be a long-term thing, but just since we have M3, we have M2, we have the top division M1, why not use them to grow and train referees, right? So get them to the point where you feel comfortable and then bring them to M1. And this way we can solve a lot of these issues.
And if you ask them a question like, where do the players line up for a top of the arc restart, and you don't immediately know the answer, or you say something like, oh, wherever the players line up, we just let them go there. Because the players, and I brought this up on one post, Mike DeSilva replied to me that it's all part of the game, which I get, but I make fun of Blast players for this because and actually the Blast announcers make fun of the Blast players for this because they always pretend like they don't know where to stand at the top of the arc restart. It's just all in the name of time wasting to get all your players set. Make sure the goalkeeper can set the wall, make sure everyone's there, and they all, oh, that's not the line. Oh, I need to back. Oh yeah, I forget. They always play it off. Everyone knows what they're doing. But when the referee doesn't go, no, you stand there and goes, oh yeah, sure, that looks good. There's no excuse.
There's the problem. That's where the problem is. And that's why we need good training and good experience that doesn't, sacrifice the integrity of the top division.
Yes.
For referees to get trained. So that's why.
Yeah, we even saw it at the All-Star game. Remember the goal that the miracle goal that Pino had, where he had a free kick and Ian Bennett is standing right there. The ref doesn't do anything.
Yep. Alec, give me a minute. So yeah, and I mean, it needs to be there. There is a rule, not a rules, but there's like a discipline committee, which has basically what some of these other committees need. It has like a former player, a current player, a former coach or something. It has a number of people, including people that are not involved in teams right now, that make up like the disciplinary rules and committee. And they review like Santos punched the guy in the head in St. Louis a couple of weeks ago and got a 2-game suspension for it for this coming weekend. That's in the discipline report right now. They review stuff like that and they make their decisions. So they need more of that kind of thing.
But did they happen to review John Sosa's punch against Wichita?
Stop.
So anyway, so that's the referee thing. That there needs to be some problem. There needs to be some changes.
Oh my God.
Whatever's happening is not working.
Yeah.
So that and what better time to make changes than when having a commissioner come in. Next, and we talk about this like every week, implement some kind of solution so the broadcasters announce the player names correctly. Eric, you and Nick do an awesome job, with the exception of Willie B, but that's, we'll make fun of Nick for that. But there are so many ways to make this work. And again, the answer that I've heard from a number of people are, well, they get a pronunciation guide, they just don't look through it. Okay, well, that doesn't work then. Like, how many years have we been told that? 5, 6, 7? Like, that doesn't work. You can't just keep saying that. So you need to do it over. Yes.
Also, are we reviewing these pronunciation guides?
No, they just give them to them and then they're not
Exactly.
right. Yeah. So do away with the pronunciation guides. You do one of two things. And I actually recommend both. You have a conference call for half an hour between the broadcast team and some member of both teams who knows the pronunciations. And you just go over them. Along with, you can throw in your little tidbits of, oh yeah, this is whatever's 100th game, or 750th left foot back heel, whatever. Or even easier, you have all the players call into a central voicemail number, which you can create for free on a number of different sites, and have them just pronounce their name. Hi, this is Adam Donatello. Hi, this is Sam Guernsey. I mean, just there. So that's it. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And my last short term, which means this season, is goal judges. Because that's
Bring them back.
Implement them at every you need
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but just because Eric and Nick were talking about how back in the days we won't mention, there used to be somebody there judging if it crossed the line.
Right. And there are so many different ways to solve it. Now, granted, in my medium term, I'll get into more, but this is short term, like what I think could be implemented between now and next season, because there's already going to be so much just in scheduling and teams and all that other crap.
Right.
I don't think there's enough room between the end of this season and next season to really make broad sweeping changes. So that's why I went into short, medium, and long term. But goal judge is something you can pay somebody $50 a game to sit there and hit the button and light up the thing that you spend $200 on or whatever. Gio will do it in Baltimore. In fact,
Right.
You're damn near sitting in the goal right behind on those seats right behind the goal in Baltimore anyway.
I sit on the side.
So that's my short term. Medium term. And it's tough. It's easy to come up with short and long term. It's harder to come up with medium term. So that's why I made this like start to implement these next season, but really targeting like the season after. The first one, implement real broadcast standards. They're published, they're available for anyone to read, and fine teams when they break them. If they're charging for the games, the fans should know what the minimum expectations should be. And I don't think this needs to be something that's kept up year to year. I think this needs to be something implemented, and this is the bottom line standard. Because you watch NFL, NBA, NHL, college football, anything, all the games look relatively similar because they have standards that they follow. I would also like to see standards of arena appearance, like turf. Like,
I see what you mean.
Why are we looking at your logo upside down on a TV broadcast? It's just stuff like that. I mean, I know there's always reasons behind those, but none of the reasons are reasonable ones anymore. Just because in 1987 the turf was facing that way, and then they changed where the penalty box was, and now the turf doesn't fit, that's not an excuse. All that, no. Just because you hide all your fans that show up to the game underneath the camera doesn't mean your logo needs to be facing the other way around. So there's that. Implement minimum and maximum player and team salaries. I would like to see a minimum number that the team has to spend on players. So I know we kind of with the Florida thing talking about maximum numbers. I think there needs to be a minimum that a team needs to spend, because I've heard things like teams are playing, don't pay their players to practice at all and only play them if they suit up for a game. I think there needs to be a minimum and a maximum. I'm perfectly fine with a small team market spending less than a big team market. I'm perfectly fine with like the New England
Baltimore.
Patriots versus Green Bay Packers,
Oh,
which is
okay.
vastly different. Granted, we're talking millions. And yes, 1987 was an overrated year, especially for goalkeepers, Eric. But I think the minimums and the maxims, I don't know what they would be. I have no idea what the player contracts are, other than a handful that I've heard of through the grapevine here and there. But I think there needs to be minimum maximum set.
I think players need to be paid to practice and play.
Yes.
It should be no excuse. It should be no excuse. If you want these players to perform, if you want these players to be motivated and happy with your team, you have to pay them. You know what? Scratch that. We shouldn't be paying them per game, per practice. We should be paying them a salary.
Paying them a salary. And do whatever you want to not hide, but include in coaching and help with marketing and help all the other stuff. Great. That's even better, but they need a salary to play. You can't expect someone to perform at their top level if they don't get paid to practice and they get $100 a game, because they have to find a way to live.
And you can't expect them to be involved in your team if you're not paying them well. So
you
like,
can
if you
actually
want
expect the opposite.
Right. So like, if you want, like, hey, you want these players to show up at a high school or a middle school or elementary school, or just do a freaking commercial or a photo shoot, you're going to get empty phone calls because they're not going to do it because you're not paying them.
Right.
So,
Right.
Sorry.
Exactly.
Sorry.
All
I'll
right,
shut
so
up.
that-
This is your moment.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I didn't want it to be just me preaching. I'm not very good.
Preach, Adam. Preach.
Yes.
So my last medium term, Alec and Eric, replay or VAR. Not only for goals, for other plays, for weird things like 3-line. And you don't have to show it on the broadcast. You don't have to spend all this time figuring it out. You have one guy that does the replay who looks, even if it's like Scotty Fellows' cell phone, like we had to do in the playoffs one year. If someone rewind the broadcast, look and go, oh, that's clearly this problem. Or in the Tacoma,
You mean the Dallas KC game?
no, the Tacoma goal
Oh,
that got them to overtime, where the ref put down the ball, and I thought Derek was talking about that the putting down the ball in play and letting him shoot was bad. What was really bad was the actual play itself, because the Tacoma player running down, basically leaning on, like a little kid does their dad, leaning on their shoulder, and the dad just stepped away and the kid falls down, and then they called that a blue card or a penalty, or a foul at that point. There needs to be rules behind it and things like that. And there's 1,000 different systems to do it. I'm not getting into which one is best or worse or whatever, but there needs to be something. And again, the excuse of, well, not all the arenas have, too bad. The arenas need to have that. That needs to be part of those minimum standards that I talked about earlier, that you can't just say, oh, well, we can't have the expensive arenas have video replay and not the cheap ones because the cheap ones can't afford it. Well, too bad. The cheap ones can't be in the league then. And that sounds harsh, especially since people probably think I'm talking about Turlock. I love Turlock. I love everything about them. But if they can't keep up the standards that require the league to move forward and the league to have standards, it's too bad. It's sorry. You just have to do it. All right. Long-term goals. I only have 4 of these. So the short-term ones are a lot, 8 of them, and then they shrink down as they go on. Unite the league and lead.
Can you repeat that?
Unite the league and lead. Be a leader. Don't be a figurehead. Yeah, don't be a figurehead that gets blamed for stuff. Oh, the commissioner said you got to get fined for this, or the commissioner said we're not doing that, or this. The days of the good old boys club need to stop. The owners,
Wow.
The league is not about the owners. The league is about the players and the fans. The owners doing things for their own benefit, like fucking around with the goalkeeper rules that he can't cross half field. That shit has to go. There needs to be a leader of this thing, who's focused on it, who has to do it. No more owner temper tantrums that lead into weird fines and suspensions, or not fines and suspensions, as the case may be. Need someone to lead this league, unite the teams together, understand that the owners are not going to be friends. The owners are there to compete against each other. That's fine. Owners don't have to be friends. But for them to be high school, schoolyard enemies, that can't happen either.
Yeah, they have to realize that it's just like in retail. I mean, we have customers that we have to take care of. We have to please them because that we want them to come back. And it's exactly the same way in indoor soccer.
Yeah.
We're the customers. Like, the customers may not always be right, but if you want us to come back and spend our money in your facility, there has to be some sort of, I mean, everything. If we order it on pay-per-view, we want it to be a good quality. If we go to the arena, we want it to be interactive, and we want to feel like our money is going towards something good.
Yeah, exactly. And you're lucky that Syracuse wasn't in the league this year. So I watched the game that Cliff and Lucy were talking about, where Wave against Syracuse before the playoffs, the 2018.
Yep.
And that broadcast was just a hot mess all the way around.
That don't even get me going on the Syracuse broadcast, because that was just
Terrible.
It seriously reminded me of like a public access TV show.
And back to talking about the broadcast, that you made that comment the other day on the phone. Like, Comets broadcasts are like your network TV, and the other three, I'll give St. Louis like a local channel network.
Thank you.
Not a global, not a nation network,
National.
but like a local. But the other two are like your local cable access channels, run by guys who are sitting there smoking weed in the middle of the night, running commercials, like the movie UHF.
Those would be good, like an M2, M3 level, not professional.
Yes, exactly. So my next three, and actually my third, I'll go with my last one. I put goal line technology down, but then I wrote replay VAR under medium. So I don't know how important goal line technology is if you have goal judges and a replay system in place, because goal line technology is like the chip in the ball and the sensors and stuff like that. I don't know how easy or hard that would be when you have to keep tearing the boards and stuff down, up and down. So we'll cross that off the list. I'm going to steal your thunder a little bit here. And I'm going to steal one of Huffman's ideas. So Huffman said at some point, I don't understand. So Eric said, if you're driving towards a TV contract, you need to think about total game time. That might justify keeping the glass and potentially finding a quick VAR solution. Actually, I'm not putting TV contract into here because of all the weird things that I think that's going to happen anyway, regardless of who commissioner is. I think that's a drive that everyone's going to follow towards. So I didn't include that, but I included things that would improve the product so that the TV contract could come into play. Like Huffman's idea, where he said, I can't believe the league doesn't have a turf contract in place right now. Like, why? How many teams in the league need new turf? Obviously Florida. St. Louis needs new turf. Theirs is old. You can see the gaps in it.
Tacoma
needs new. I mean, there's at least 4
Quite
or
a few.
5. And if you purchase in bulk, you get a better discount. That's just the way America and the world and economy works. So why don't you get your teams lined up so that every few years, instead of one team paying, I'm throwing a number out there, $100,000 on a turf, 10 teams pay $70,000 each on a turf. And you make that part of your minimum requirements, that the turf needs to be kept up to an acceptable level. Baltimore probably went 5 years too long on theirs, if not more.
It'd be a good idea with the turf contract. I feel like for a company to buy in, probably have the teams change their turf every 2 years.
I would love it. It's aggressive, but I would love it.
Yeah.
It is aggressive, but I feel like in 2 years they would have paid for themselves, for the teams, and it's enticing enough for a company to buy in.
So if the company were able to do things, and I know we hate on-field, because I hate on-field stickers. Those have to go. But if you're Yeah, I don't like the idea of a sticker on a field.
Oh, a sticker, but not painted like logos and stuff.
Painted is fine.
Okay.
Well, what is it? Sport turf?
Right.
Where like Utica and Kansas City's turf is from.
Right.
Maybe even Milwaukee's. But a good example is what St. Louis did with their Axios Financial. They painted it on.
Oh,
and
right.
It's a really nice looking, or even the Calafino Turlock, which is really cool looking. That really pops. But you can put a logo and sport turf in the same area, or put sport turf on both sides so you can see it from both sides or whatever. Make commercials, put their ads in for free or whatever on the broadcast. There's a lot of stuff you could do, but having a league wide, it's an indoor sport on turf, and all the fields, all the arenas use the same basic turf. Why isn't there a contract like Huff said? And to go along with that, and I know, Gio, you're going to go into a lot of this in yours, league-wide sponsors for equipment, broadcasts, things like that. And that kind of leads into that TV contract thing, but I won't go too far into that. I mean, we don't need like the Nike swoosh across 100 yards of the field. Well, how many? 50 yards of the field. Or 40 in Baltimore.
Right, exactly. Stickers, no. Paintings, yes. Brad.
Yeah, I mean, so Brad says sticker caused Peruzzi a ACL tear in Baltimore. I remember duct tape plus a sticker caused Stefan St. Louis in Chicago to get a blue card against him because he tripped over the piece of turf with duct tape hanging off of it with the sticker there and slammed a guy into the boards. And I mean, there was nothing.
Now here, I have a question for you guys. How against it or for it would you be with having advertisements on the walls next to the goals?
Over the glass?
No, not where it becomes white.
What do you mean where it becomes wide?
So like some facilities have like the white around the goal instead of the glass.
Oh
wait, I guess it wouldn't be big enough. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of having a lot of advertising around the inside of the board.
Yeah, like on the boards.
Like
right.
The giant sign in the Florida broadcast they kept going to that said boring while I'm falling asleep watching the boring game. Yeah. So that's it. That's all. That's what I got. That's what I got for this season, or this. What I would do as commissioner.
So I'm next week. Is that what we're?
You can do this next week if you're up for it.
Yeah.
Or you can have Gio do it.
I'll do it.
And I will refrain from talking too much during it.
Wait,
you talk. That's
that a sign that I talk too much?
No. That's
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
That's a sign that I know I talk too much, and I don't want to take over somebody else's segments.
No, but the reason we do this, right? The reason why we talk about these things is because they're not outlandish things. They're things that could really help the league from our point of view, right? From what we think could help. And I know we're not commissioners or owners or whatnot, but just as maybe more than just a regular fan, because we do get some insider information, right? That
every once in a while
we know that, hey, maybe this could help because we're a fan and we're privileged to certain information the public doesn't know.
Now that said, you ask 100 people what are the top 3 things you would do as commissioner, you're going to get 100 different or 300 different answers.
Of course.
I mean, you're going to get it's just everyone has their own opinion based on situations they've been in, and they may get really, really, really oddly specific, like give John Sosa a red card for his handball in the playoff game versus Kansas City, give John Sosa a suspension for punching Benji. Just totally
Adriano Dos Santos' handball in the championship game against Solis.
Right.
Sorry, but you just reminded me. Benji had a phenomenal game. Oh, actually, I also have to talk about something. But Benji had a phenomenal game in a league in Chihuahua. Freaking, he's a beast, man.
Nice.
He needs to get signed by an M1 team, honestly.
He will. Well, if we can get visa things figured out, he will.
Well, he has a visa. Well, visa with Wichita. Never mind.
Yeah. All right.
But Real quick before if we wrap up.
Well, I have two more things to go over.
Okay, good. There is a potential huge name coming from Mexico, a team wise. You guys heard me talk about them, but Club Marlin, they were on the phone / meeting with M2. They posted it. I didn't say it. They posted it just to get it out there on their social media that they're trying to make a move into the MASL pyramid for starting at M2. By the way, this brand is huge. This team is talented. So I'm really excited and I really want this to happen. And supposedly, from what I'm being told, it's going to be an all Mexican division starting in M2.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
So if that happens and the season coming up, the teams like Monterrey, Sonora, and all them cannot compete. They're gonna do an M2 side. So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun. I hope it happens.
I'm hoping we as a planet can figure out the visa situation.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the few things that haven't been talked about really at all, because it's really not an issue right now, because the teams with most of the visa problems aren't playing, and the players with the visa issues aren't here. I mean, most of them have been sent back to their countries. So that's a tough thing. The first thing I want to talk about is the so we've been told by the league the pay-per-view broadcasts on Facebook. Actually, the free broadcasts on Facebook are up to like exponentially more views than the free YouTube videos last year. And I think I would expect that for two reasons. One, because most of the games are paid. So the free ones are going to be the people who are kind of holding out or going out of their way to want to watch something and do that. But also just because it's the weird situation we're in. We're in this like weird COVID era. People can't go out. They need stuff to do. So I think that's that. But also
wait, hold on. Before you move on to the next point.
Yeah.
Also, I think I want to give a huge shout to the marketing team for the MASL, because they've been doing a great job pushing out content on all social media platforms, right? So their YouTube, they're putting up highlights. On Facebook, they're putting up highlights. They're putting up graphics all the time. And if you're not following your team's Twitter or the league's Twitter, you need to, because during in-game, they're talking about it. So if you're not watching the game, you could easily follow the game on your team's Twitter or the MASL's Twitter. So make sure you go out there and follow them.
And if you're watching a game with your kids, you're watching a Kansas City game with your kids, send a tweet to Eric Bergerud on Twitter, and he will shout you out on the air. Maybe, possibly. He might possibly do that. But the other thing I wanted to mention is that the pay-per-view numbers are not much more, but I think they're more than they were expecting. They didn't really know because there was no paid market in this era of soccer. But they were pleasantly surprised at the number of views coming in. And they said based on everything coming in, they're basically getting like one decent sponsorship, the money equivalent of a decent sponsorship per team that's participating this season for pay-per-view stuff, which I think is great. I've been going back and forth on how I feel about it, but I'm kind of leaning towards, me personally, no more free YouTube games. If we do pay-per-view on YouTube, I think YouTube is overall a much better platform than Facebook in general. But I think the era of the free games, I think the only way we could have gotten here, Eric says maybe, to the shout outs. Some things he doesn't shout me out anymore. He usually gives me one a game though. Or my wife's like, he's always talking about you. How do you do that?
Always.
About all of us.
He shouted out Hannah. One of the first words he said on the broadcast.
Yeah.
Was Hannah's name. Yes.
No, but I agree with you, Adam. So it's funny. So, for those that don't know, I'm still almost done my pursuit in my master's degree. Or sorry, not my master's, my marketing degree. And one of the projects I did was actually on the Facebook thing that the MASL is doing. And after doing that, I really have jumped on the bandwagon that it should be this. It should be the mix of the pay-per-view model with the free game every now and then, right?
Yeah.
So it provides a lot for the league. The fact that Facebook is willing to, do a partnership with them because of the viewing numbers speaks volumes to one, our fans, and two, how great this product is and how much it's grown.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think I wouldn't be mad if next season they chose to go this path. Because honestly, if you really think about it, I know people are going to be like, "Oh, you get free games for the NFL," but do you really? Because
Yeah.
you have to pay for cable.
Right. And your 1 month of cable is probably a little bit more than one season of MASL.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I know people are going to be like, "You have local TV channels," but how many people actually use what they need to get those local TVs channels?
Yeah, I think it's now granted, I think if we didn't have COVID and the league just jumped in from a regular season that
It would have
ended
been
the regular
harder.
way,
Yeah.
this would have bombed 100%. Horrible. But I think COVID made everyone look at things in a different way.
Yeah.
And I kind of like where it's going in some, obviously in other aspects, like the want to gouge my eyes out every day and watching meetings on my screen for 12 hours a day, but and then do this. But I think this is really the way to go. I really do. Soccer Sam started out, and Sam, I am absolutely 100% wrong. You said, "Oh, we should charge for every game, and that's the way it should be going forward." I was like, "You are out of your mind. There's no way that's going to work." And now I'm like, you know what? I, as a fan now, can hold the league to a higher standard. And by doing this show, we've gotten contacts in the league that actually ask us, "Hey guys, what do you think about the broadcast today? Is there anything we should fix? What do you think?" We've actually worked with them for decent parts of games already and said, "Oh, this looks good here. This doesn't look good there." I mean, one of two things needs to happen. It either needs to move to YouTube and do the same pay-per-view, or the Facebook platform needs to mature. I think Facebook is still like 4 or 5 years behind where YouTube is in the streaming and the purchasing and the whole thing. I was trying to get Matt Perella to buy the game the other day, and it just rejected his credit card. So it's like, well, okay. I mean, you set up Google, you have an account already set up. You can do this way in advance. What Eric says, he has to run, but he'll leave this year. What he and Nick are working on towards is fan engagement before, during, and after the broadcast. And I think that's.
And I think, yeah, I 100% agree with that. It's funny. I was talking to Matt Thornton a few months ago about this, and he said, I mean, with all the COVID going on and stuff, how are we going to attract new people? And I said it. I'm like, listen, make it fan interactive. So if, like, you have a question about the rules of the game or a player, tweet it at him, and he can answer your question. You get a shout out, and it's interaction with the announcers. And I think Nick and Eric do a great job of that. And I think the going forward, I think all announcers should do that.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, there's a way to be professional. So your standard NFL broadcast is never gonna shout out a super fan. Actually, maybe they will once in a while, but they're never gonna like, "Oh, we got this question from Adam, and Adam wants to know where the corn dogs are." "Oh, that's funny, Adam." Blah, blah, blah. You know, they're never gonna do that at that level. But this is where this sport shines. It's this league and fan and player interaction that we don't get. Like, where can you go? You know, you're never going to get people, walking onto Soldier Field and getting, and not that they would want them from the Chicago Bears, but getting a NFL player autograph without paying $200 and standing in line for 3 hours to get it, or what,
Exactly.
whatever it is. But that's what makes this sport so special, and that's why I want to cling on to these. Like, I don't really know if I want sellout crowds of 15,000 every night, because then you lose some of the things you have. I would love it for the players and for their personal and financial wealth and their families and things like that. But as a selfish fan, I want to be able to message Ian, who's playing for a team that I really kind of despise right now, and still have a civil conversation and tease him about it and have him make fun of, oh yeah, maybe I'm not coming back and maybe I'm staying in Florida forever. That you never get that in these other leagues.
So we got an interesting piece right now, and it's non-verified, non-confirmed, but it's a rumor that the league is actually up to almost 1 million views on their games. This is non-paid, non-boosted, nothing. So it's amazing to see that the fans are coming through for it and everything. And I think what the league does is give and takes, right? So these feature matches are super important because it gives the fans a free game. But then at the same time, we as fans are like, oh, we love the product and how much the product has grown. Because I personally, if we compare the spectrum, granted it's only 4 broadcasts we see now compared to last season, I feel like the product has grown so much compared to last season that I feel good about what I've paid for, right?
Oh yeah.
As
I mean,
opposed
granted,
to-
I almost broke my finger hitting the refresh button to get those 1 million likes, but
Oh, good work. I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
yeah, it's taking it to a professional level, but also because and here's where I say either move it to YouTube or mature the Facebook platform. And I think the MASL by doing this like almost pilot program has helped Facebook and will help Facebook mature that platform. I know there's a lot of talent working for Facebook right now, and be it as what it may, there's huge reach on Facebook. There's when you post a weird meme of a joke and get 75 people to like it in 2 hours, that a bigger brand, as a person, a bigger brand and a bigger name can have a much bigger reach. I think Facebook is the social media platform for this kind of support, for this kind of sport. So that's kind of why I'm not saying got to move it to YouTube, got to keep it on, even though Brad, I do agree. I mean, YouTube is so much easier. It's so much cleaner.
It's better.
Much more user-friendly and everything. But from the social media view and engagement, just look, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah.
But so
ahead.
with that, I'm gonna beat this down until it happens. But Florida has a great video. Their audio, when it's good, but most of the time we all know. But if I'm watching, like if I'm a new fan and I watch a Florida game for free, would I rather see a football field turf, or would I see like a nice turf? Like, I think the aesthetics of it also come into play. If I'm a new fan and I'm like, oh, that looks awesome, and the video's great, and oh, it's only like $5 a game. Okay, cool. I'd like to see this again.
But here, let me play devil's advocate.
Oh, of course.
Of course. I don't disagree with you at all. I don't disagree with you because I need Florida to change their turf. But but when you're watching the game, when you really watch the game and you get so involved on the action of the game, do you really pay attention to the turf?
Yes.
Do I or do Matt or do a regular fan?
A regular fan.
I think
because you guys, obviously, we three.
I think they may get confused because they're talking about a 3-line pass, and if I'm a new fan, it's like, well, what 3 lines are we talking about? From the 25-yard line to the 10-yard line, or
right? In those instances, yes, but like on the games vary on time length, but in the 4 quarters, for the most part, they're fine. They're probably sucked into the action, so it might not be that bad, and that's probably what Florida's holding on to. But at the end of the day, Florida does need to change their turf. But I think that's what they're holding on to, is the fact that the fan gets sucked into the action, that they don't pay attention to it.
So I'm working on a little something here. So
oh Jesus.
No, this is good.
Why is it that our reaction is always uh-oh?
I know.
Oh God, what's the picker wheel gonna do now?
So how do I get back to here?
Oh, so in the meantime, when is the ultimate corn dog moment coming out? When is our top moment coming out?
Oh, we haven't had one today, have we?
No, but we had the best one last week.
That was a good one. What was
that
It's
one?
going to be out tomorrow for those who are watching. We'll have a new corn dog moment, and that one will be on there.
So by tomorrow, you mean like half an hour for us people on the East Coast?
Well, tomorrow at noon.
Oh, okay.
So okay, you open up a broadcast for this thing, indoor soccer, that you don't know where it is, you've never heard of it before, but it happens to be on TV or on Facebook. Let's say you see a video that's shared, and you see something that looks like. You guys see this? Okay.
Yep.
You guys see something like that, like this.
That's beautiful. That's rough.
I mean, right. Like, how is this in the same league as that?
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. It should be, and that's where the standards thing come in, and that's why there needs to be these standards of, I don't care if you're playing in a warehouse, if you can put out HD video quality and good looking turf, which is what Turlock has.
I was gonna say Turlock had better turf than that.
Yeah, I would welcome that over the Florida broadcast right now. And for all the people out there who are saying, well, if you don't like it, you don't have to watch. Exactly. That's exactly the problem. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch. And your fan that you're trying to grow this sport to and trying to get to your heyday of your 1990s when 150,000 people crammed into a 2-seat arena, you're never going to get that. When people look at that and go, oh, that's ridiculous. Why would I watch that? What is this? Why are there banners hanging down onto the field? Why did that guy just trip and the whole turf came up?
What I will say about Florida and Utica and San Diego is I do appreciate the fan culture that they not what they give their fans, but the fan culture. Like they're some of the few teams that have true supporter groups, and it's pretty cool.
So a couple comments. Jay, a regular fan is going to turn on a Florida game and immediately turn off, never to return. Now, the other problem with that, it's not just Florida. A fan is going to see, oh, there's this indoor soccer thing. They're going to turn on, they're going to go, oh, that indoor soccer thing, that's amateur hour. I watched it once, it's crap. And that's going to be their, that's their experience. Alex says, I try to relate this to when I watch indoor football game. If a team has a really bad looking turf, I immediately feel turned off of it. And the hardcore sports fans are going to power through it and watch it. But if you combine with the turf with a shitty video and a guy just screaming distortion in your ear the entire time, no one's going to watch that.
Yeah.
Adam Grosskreutz, Florida free games, I can't get the Florida football lines out of my mind. A family says, why are they playing on a football game? It's a distraction. My 20-year-old.
What's funny? Sorry to cut you off. You know what's funny? I feel the same way when I used to watch. I felt the same way when I used to watch the outdoor games, where the USL teams would play on a college field, a football field.
Yeah.
And I would watch them, and I'm like I can't. They need soccer-specific arenas, stadiums.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about indoor soccer. It should be a turf made specifically for indoor soccer.
Well, we're not talking about an outdoor turf that's $500,000 to put in. We're talking 10 to 20% of that.
Right, but
and no upkeep and no upkeep other than rolling it and putting it in a closet for a while. Rolling it up, putting it in a closet, and then bring it back out the next game kind of
right,
thing.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It should be specific to our sport across the league. Like you said, standards.
Turf contract with a turf company. So my 20-year-old walked up, then this is back before St. Louis fixed their audio problem.
Yes, Scotty, Florida has fans. They have the
Yeah.
Swansea Syndicate.
So Yeah, right.
Oh, don't even get me going on them.
So 20-year-old walks upstairs, and of course the sound is all distorted, all this shit, and he's like, "Oh, shitty audio. You must be watching soccer again." And that's for a person who's not even a sports fan. It's like, oh, okay. So there's one other thing I want to cover before we get two out of this. Something happened this last week that I think we, as a whatever we call ourselves, fan advocate group,
Let's
soccer
call ourselves in the
player
box.
advocate group in the
Because we
box.
belong in the box.
So this is something that's in the box. A soccer fan posted this on his private Facebook page. This is a person not associated with a team or the league, or is even rooting for a team this season, or watching games. Posted, how are the Sockers, with a roster full of all-stars, only scoring 3 goals per game against goalies who routinely give up 5 to 7 goals per game against average teams? And this is the first game that Sockers lost 5-1. I posted something like, they looked like they were on game 3 of a 3 out of 4 out of 4 day run. They just looked slow and they looked out of shape. I mean, really. Another comment was made, and it was a comment in fun, and it's, remember, there's only one ball to share, with a smiley face, the crying, laughing face.
Oh, this moment. I got it.
I'm not going to name who it was. I am going to name that person is a ref in the league. Not a floor ref, but a box ref. That's all I'm going to give away, and that's all the names I'm going to say. The post has since been deleted, so it's not out there. That person was then contacted by the head of officials saying, you've been removed from all, for the games, at least for next weekend and maybe the rest of the season. Because refs shouldn't be getting involved in talking about games, especially with fans. So the problem I have with that.
Everything?
Well, yes, I agree that refs should not be talking about teams. The insinuation there was that there's so many stars on San Diego, there's only one ball, not everyone can have the ball to score. I almost read it as, well, Ontario just dominated the whole game, didn't give San Diego a chance to even get the ball. I do agree that refs should not be talking about games. Like, you can't have a ref go home after game going, oh yeah, I really botched the call, man. I think the other team would have won if I would have gotten my shit together. Or, hey, do you guys see this play? What do you think about this play? And just open up discussion for like a red card or something like that. I think that's probably over across the line. But if you're setting a precedent where refs can't interact, or if people involved in the league can't interact with fans, you're stepping up and setting up what Florida's kind of done to their players, where they ban them from going to the All-Star game. They ban them from talking on social media to people. They refuse to sign players because of things that have happened on social media. And that goes completely against what we were just talking about this league and the fans and the players and how everyone interacts. The fact that we can get mid-show an owner to message us and tell us, hey, share this on your show. We got almost 1 million people reached in our pay-per-view broadcasts and our broadcast this year. That's amazing. But if we get to the point where we're restricting and fining teams and fining players and suspending and this and that, because someone gets in, and the rumor has it was a GM or an owner that complained to the ref about this other ref saying that. Well, obviously we know who it is. When are we going to get to the point where the MASL says, hey, fan groups, you guys in your live show, you got to stop talking about all this stuff. Otherwise, we're going to try to get you banned from Facebook. Or, hey, player, you talked to this guy, you messaged this guy and told him that, whatever weird inside information that we get. Or, hey, you put a corn dog up in the booth in Kansas City during halftime show. We got to stop that. There's just, it's the good old boys club. And we got to stop this weird, like somebody gets offended and has a temper tantrum and changes something based on that. Yeah. So that's my soapbox for that. Never going to name a name on that. I will
I
not if
agree.
I'm asked. Those of you who know. Those of you who don't, that's all I'm going to give. So don't ask. But yeah, that
We should
starts
start a
dangerous.
hashtag. Stop the good old boys.
Yeah, right. And I mean, good old boys clubs are not good at all, except for the old boys. See what I did there? And they're really not for them either. They think they are, but they're really not.
Oh man, we that's gonna be a t-shirt we come out in the box. Stop the good old boys.
Yeah. Or good old boys with a circle the line through. Oh wait, we can't do that.
Oh wait, we can't do that. Oh my. Well, I think, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. We can't have that running the league anymore. If not, it's just gonna hurt everything, all the good that's happened.
It is. And then when I hear things that, players are fined and suspended for when they're not even on a team for a comment they made on social media, or an owner got fined for a Twitter post he made when 100% of what he posted was true. Just that kind of, no, we can't have that. Because what's funny, and I hope I'm not getting anyone in trouble, in that same thread, another owner of a team that's not playing this year was all over it, saying much worse things. And I guarantee nothing will be done there. So
Well, that's the thing, right? With the good old boys, right? It's that favoritism, and that's what kills everything. Because if someone can punch someone in a game, non-sanctioned is the excuse,
yeah,
but then other things non-sanctioned happens, but they get in trouble for it.
yeah,
It's obviously showing favoritism, and that's going to damage the league. So that's what needs to cut it out. And this is what we're here for. This is why we are in the box, because we're always going to be kind of penalized or looked down upon or whatever it is that we get, because we're going to call it out, and that's what we're here for.
and we've been thanked by more than one person about calling this kind of stuff out. And
Exactly.
I really appreciate the fact that the people think, I mean, we used to answer questions like, well, why do you guys care so much? Or why don't you just let it go? Well, because we care. We love the sport, and that's why we're doing this. We're doing this out of passion, not out of anger. I'm not one of these shock jock radio people who just sit there and make fun of things and find the next thing to talk about and bitch about just for the sake of keeping my, shock numbers up. I'm looking for a particular picture here.
Like, people don't understand. Like, I live and breathe this sport. Like, I've given all outdoor out
In the box.
to for this sport, and like I truly live and breathe this sport. So it's like I don't do it for any.
It's a part of me. It's literally on me.
It's, I mean, I went from 4 people in my all 4 of us used to go to games. My oldest had anxiety issues, so he dropped off his season ticket after a while. My youngest became a teenager. We dropped her season tickets, and she still came to some games, and then we were in this COVID thing, and it's like I want to go to a game again.
Mm-hmm.
I want to just experience everything that's involved in the game, and these watching these games, knowing how much better product can be put out there just infuriates me.
Mm-hmm.
And then watching, I'll take one of Jay's lines of, if you guys haven't seen the MJSL YouTube channel, Jay has some very, very wacky, crazy ideas, but every once in a while it comes on something that's good. One of the things he keeps talking about is using a template. In League, there's a template in Kansas City right now for your broadcasts.
So I need to address this comment, right? So 1 million for all games, question mark. That may sound good, but it's really nothing in the big picture. In what big picture are we talking about?
Comparing it to the NFL.
But NFL is a different beast. And NFL, so you have to understand that NFL is the NFL not because of the sport. It's because of the marketing machine it became. It's because of the
Over
back
100 years.
Exactly. It's not even the age. It's just, if you look at the point where NFL, MLS, NBA became what they are, it isn't because of what they did on the field or what they did. It's what they did in the marketing, the selling to the fans, the reaching out to the fans. That's when it changed.
MLS almost failed because they dumped hundreds of millions of dollars into it to try to make it a major sport. And that's the only way it worked. And it's just now turning around.
And it only turned around because they handed off the marketing and the branding to a third party that is combined with U.S. Soccer, with CONCACAF, which is the regional, and Mexico. So all these companies came together to form a third party that literally handles marketing, branding, and have their hands tied in everything to do with soccer on this side of the globe.
Well, there's two things that can happen with indoor soccer. One, for positives, there's a lot of things that can happen negatives, but for positive and positive growth. One, somebody comes in with tens of 20s of $100 million worth of money and pumps it into the league like MLS. Doesn't have to be on as grand of a scale, but it needs way more money than is in the sport right now, or it needs to keep growing in baby steps.
Exactly.
So granted, in the big picture, 1 million viewers is nothing, but in the small wins, and each small win gets you bigger to winning the battle, it's huge. It's huge that they were able to take all the dozens of naysayers who said, "Oh, you're gonna go under if you start charging for your games. You're never gonna work on pay-per-view." And there's 100 or 1 million individuals that have been reached by these games. Granted, those aren't all the paid games. We know it's not 999,997 versus 3. See what I did there? But even, it's 1 million people that are reached that wouldn't have been reached otherwise. And it has me double thinking. My personal view for keeping the league healthier and making it more serious was just not have a season at all. Understanding that was going to hurt a lot of players because a lot of players rely on this money and things like that. That actually has me rethinking that now. Yeah. Because the season, if a league was able to grow in a positive way through this COVID crazy 7-team, 10-game, no playoff format until after the playoffs are over, I think that's what's going to happen. Just one Monday morning, there's going to be an announcement saying, "Oh, whatever team just had the best winning percentage just won. Congratulations." I don't think so, but
no, I hope not.
I think really the playoffs will be over a single weekend, though. I don't think it's going to be drawn.
I do think that too.
A single weekend in one location, I think, is going to be where, or maybe do like a Kansas City, St. Louis, where you can get within a short drive, a day drive. I think it'll be that. Just absolutely no inside information on that. Just my personal thought, my guess.
Yeah. But I think, I think a million views is great. And it's great to see what happens next year. Like maybe how many people are new to the sport? Like how many of those 1 million views, that was their first time watching?
And how many of those were a Florida game? Crap.
Probably 2.
The fact that oh man.
So here's what we need to do. Everybody, when you see those posts about, I'm gonna ask everybody in the Jay, I'll answer your question in a second. Everybody who's watching the chat, everybody who watches this broadcast, there's games coming up in Ontario. From everything we saw last season and the season before, Ontario is going to have a exceptional broadcast. For every one of those games that are free, share it on your Facebook page. It takes 3 seconds. Go to the event, share, and just see how many people we can get watching a decent quality production of the sport we all love. Jay says, honest question, do you believe that 1 million separate people are 1 million views? That is 1 million separate people. The stat was listed as a 1 million person reach. and that's individual people and not views.
So that's by the way, sorry, I'm just kind of a nerd, but so we have a total of 41 games this season. That's if not even including the games that haven't happened, but just taking a 1 million and dividing it by the 41 games that are scheduled and have been played. That's 24.39K viewers per game. That's not even taking into account the viewers will have come in with the games coming.
Yeah. Now I will say that by Facebook's definition of a reach, and this is what we were researching for our show before this. If one person views one game for 3 seconds or more, that is considered a reach to that person. So there is a chance that people open up the thing by accident, or open it up in South Florida's turf and went, what the hell is that, and close it down, never watched again. But still, it's not going to be the majority of people.
That's going to be, if we're honest, that's going to be like 10 to 15% of the people.
Yeah, it's not like when soon to be former Commissioner Schaub said, all we need, 11 sports reaches 50 million homes, and all we need is one half of 1% of 1 percentile of that, and we get 285,000 new fans. That's not a realistic number that way. This is an actual factual number, and it's not, it's a person reach, so it's based on Facebook account. It's not a device type thing. So like I can't go to my TV and open it up once on my computer and my phone and my tablet and have 4 views show up for that.
Yeah, I've tried that. It doesn't work.
And then do that for every game. Yeah, Matt and I tried that one night. But yeah, so I mean, the views are a little bit different than how YouTube does views. YouTube does views in much different engagement. All their algorithms are completely different. So you can't really compare the two, especially because Facebook views are in like this 3-second view, and YouTube's are more in like I think it was 20 or 15 or something seconds. So it's exponentially up there. But
right. But alrighty. Well, we appreciate you guys joining on our 1-year anniversary.
Yeah. And Brad, yes, absolutely. That's definitely a rule. No matter where the playoff game is, there's no final is played in Florida. If I were the league, I would have told Florida a month ago, there's not going to be any playoff games in Florida.
Jay, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. It's nothing. It's just factual numbers we have gotten. That's it.
Yeah.
All righty, guys. Well, thank you. Like I said, 1-year anniversary.
1 year in the box. Yay. And next month we have another anniversary coming up.
We do?
Yeah. Well, Matt and I do.
That doesn't count. It's the only anniversary is the inception of.
Wait, what's our anniversary? Oh. Okay.
6 months of buying a scarf that never showed up.
Oh, that one.
Oh, that one.
I wasn't thinking that one.
We're calling that one out. What day is that going to be? I think that one's going to be on a weekend, so we're going to have to do it the following Monday.
But just a reminder, we will be back Friday.
Yes. And
Thanks.
To close out the show, happy birthday, Julie V.
Oh, please don't. Please.
I'm not showing any pictures, don't worry.
Oh, thank God.
But still happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
You share the birthday with the anniversary of one of the greatest Facebook groups in existence right now.
This is
That's
true.
right. That's very true.
All right, everybody, have a great week. Sometime around 7:30 Eastern on Friday night.
Yeah.
We're going to be here to do picks. It should be a relatively short show, but Hannah's going to be here, so it's going to be an awesome show.
That's all that matters.
That's all that
Exactly.
matters. Especially since she's going to go 2-0, and we're going to go 0-2, regardless of how we pick. It's just the way it's going to go.
That's how it's going to go.
Yeah. And another thing. Hannah picked that Florida would fix their broadcast for these 6 games.
So yeah, if you guys have any questions for Hannah or any sort of, we can make this into like a psychic hotline type thing.
Yeah. Like
Psychic hour with Hannah.
Yeah.
like I said, Silva, when he retires, needs to become a faith healer. And then the PA guy from Florida needs to be his hype man.
Yep.
Every time he heals someone, saved by Silva.
Yeah, exactly.
And they can do it in Florida.
We're within striking distance.
And on that note,
Somebody scream.
somebody scream.
Nope.
We are out. Have a good night.
Good
See ya.
night. Oh my God.